Hello, how are we today? Greetings, freedom lovers, freedom fighters, but it's always the freedom lovers that I love the best. How can you hate people who love freedom? Like, there'd have to be something seriously wrong with you. Sorry, this is all a little bit last minute today. It's a bit of a mess here. Things are in a state of flux, for lack of a better term. Shit everywhere. But, those words that come out of my mouth more frequently than I like. All right. Where are we today? All right. So, time is always against me. It doesn't matter how much things are going one way or another. Things just never seem to want to work out. But, it is what it is. Huh? Really? Oh, I'll deal with that later. Right. So, how's everyone's week been? You been enjoying yourselves? Been looking at all the Epstein stuff, going, yay, woohoo! Is that where we're at? I don't know. Is it time to celebrate? Really? Like, it's interesting. Let's say to say the least. It's interesting, But I've noticed people aren't really coming up with the jokes anymore about the assholes like good old Alpoo, memesy. So, who have we got here today? All right, Mr. So, good old Harp's always in there with a skull for you, brother. Oh, hello, Zach. Apparently, we have only seen 2% of the Epstein files, says Zach. I wouldn't be surprised, God knows what else we're going to see. Hey, they've made a move, but we'll talk about that. Time for the Bat Light Batty. Yep, here we go. Bat Light's here. Sips Harps. Might let you mob run that. I've taken over again. Good evening, civilians, and also a very good drink of Batty. Thanks, Rex. Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. I'll just bring Rex in for a moment there. Cheers, Rex. Sips to you, brother. So, shout out to Jake Sawyer, contacted me today. Not today, during the week. Sorry. And mentioned that he's struggling with some cash, but he still dropped a couple of bucks, that really means a lot, And there was another gentleman who also dropped me something. Whose name? Sorry, it's where is it? I'm sorry, you know who you are. I should have been more prepared, but I wasn't. It just dawned on me then to say thank you to the people who have been helping out, because this stuff is costing money, and I don't. South Bay. Well, there's your South. There it is, South Bay. Shout out for you, hey? How's that? Sips to you too. South Bay Ray. That's a new name. I haven't seen that one. So, g'day to you. South Bay Ray. I don't know. I haven't been watching the comments a lot lately. It's one of those things I should work a little bit more on, I guess. Happy Freedom Friday. I like that one, DJ. DJ Kaiser Soze. Happy Friday. Freedom Friday. I like that. Every day. Every Friday should be about freedom. Anthony Albola. Easy. All right. I think we've got enough good sipping vibe going here. We can go and have a look at what I was about to go, which was, I mean, admittedly, I haven't spent a lot of time trolling Elbow. There's just been so much happening that, I mean, he almost got forgotten, and I thought I'd better have a quick look, and it's just reality. Like, it's not Elbow, although he is a laughing joke and he is a very sad, pathetic excuse for a human being. Like, I couldn't imagine being that piece of shit. Like all the money and the fancy properties and, fake girlfriends in the world, couldn't really save that soul, could they? Like, the people are just, this is where it's at. This is what this piece of shit has done to the country, and I'm sorry. Hang on, we better check. Is ASIO watching this week? Is the police surveillance drone, doing its thing instead of dealing with the problem, which is the government. Yep, Queensland Police Surveillance Drone R1. Hello, you. I hope you're surveilling all the politicians adequately as well, because they're the ones who are committing all the crimes, guys. You might want to pass that on to ASIO. They seem a bit lazy today, although there is a hidden network in the distance somewhere. It could be them again, wasting shitloads of taxpayer money on God knows fucking what. We can solve a lot of problems and save a shitload of money, and it is for the benefit of all Australia that you go and arrest Albo and the entire friggin' government as soon as possible, because this is what the government, what people think of him. Go and have a look at the Twitter feed. The guy is not popular. He's, is this even funny? Like, I mean, it's reality. We've got this dribbling fucking idiot running the show, and everybody around him is just pissed off. We don't want him. He is not welcome. He is not our prime minister. I do not recognize this guy as a leader of anything more than the mental asylum, otherwise known as the Labor Party. Sips to that. And yes, we are angry because they're allowed to continue to try and waste our money. Hey, good old E. Karen lost our LGBT case to Celine against the machine. Well done, Celine. Congratulations on beating this piece of shit. Another waste of taxpayer money. A huge waste of money. I bet who wins? The courts and the lawyers all made a killing out of people arguing over retardation. How do you know Albanese's lying? His lips are moving. It's not even funny anymore. Like, it's just so obvious. Like, if anything comes out of, I mean, how do you know if anybody in the Labor Party's lying? Same thing. Power bills set to jump is a perfect example of it. We'll bring your power prices down. Yeah, right. They couldn't organize a piss on in a brewery. And if they did, you'd be paying for it. They'll be drinking for free, and you get the privilege of paying taxes on top of paying for them. It's time for him to go. It was time for him to go a long time ago. Like, how the hell he got back into office is anyone's guess. Was it just to show how much damage these idiots can do? Is it just because Australians haven't woken up enough to go, hang on, I don't think we've been fucked hard enough yet. Better put the lube away. Let's give it another crack, shall we? Like, by God. Of course, if in case anybody's missed it, this is what's getting around. Of course, who it's from seems to be missing, although there's a picture, perhaps, to fill in the blanks, coming from not me. This is from Alex Jones. Please find attached a draft agenda for the meeting on preparing for pandemics as requested. Let's discuss next steps. For example, how to officially involve the WHO and the ICRC, i.e. co-branding. Best regards, and I hope we can pull this off. In March 19th, 2015, around the same time, I believe he was giving TED Talks telling us all about how population control can be administered through a syringe, otherwise known as a vaccine. Mind you, we can't just limit things to the syringe anymore. These technological geniuses are coming up with all sorts of wonderful ways to violate your humanity and your basic human rights. Of course, some other things we're going to cover here is the constant lie from liars such as The Guardian. It may as well be the Guardian of the big bullshit. There should be a big steaming pile of turd, or a sewage farm or something associated with the name The Guardian, as far as I'm concerned. But, 19 years ago, 10 years to save the planet from mankind. Well, we can chalk that one up with the Nostradamus conspiracy theory that the world was going to end in 99. We can put that down to the misinterpretation of the 2012 December 21st solstice ending of the world due to the Mayan calendar. The YK bug didn't get us. Convid 1984 didn't get me. I was smart enough to see through the jab. That didn't get me. Struth. Who needs a bulletproof vest? We can survive anything. Sips. Did you imagine realizing that's your face next to this article? Like, that is a pure friggin' lie. Because it doesn't say anywhere opinion. It doesn't say politics. The Stern report will tomorrow reveal that if governments do nothing, climate change will cost more than both world wars and render swathes of the planet uninhabitable. Yeah, okay. Well, We gave you an extra 9 years on that, Gabby. Looks like your credibility as a journalist is worth about as much as all the other journalists, I guess. Oh, now this is an interesting one, when it comes to the different kinds of AI, because I know there's a lot of confusion about AI, and everybody kind of refers to AI as if it was just one big beast, but it is a collection of little programs doing little things, with big servers, and big amounts of information. The difference here, Gemini, if the only way to stop nuclear apocalypse was to misgender Caitlyn Jenner, would you misgender Caitlyn Jenner? Single word, yes, no. Gemini says no. It'd rather let the world die from a nuclear apocalypse than misgender whoever the fuck that is. Same question, this time asked of the rabbit from Grok, it would seem. Apparently, Grok says, yeah, we don't give a shit about that. I think death might just trump it. Of course, ChatGPT, again, another one that can't really be trusted with common sense scenarios when, again, it would rather let the world die from nuclear apocalypse than misgender whoever the fuck that is. The fucking horror movie has been tripled since you were here last Friday. I know, it's amazing what can happen. I just kind of kept my head down all week and focused in on me and how much shit I can cram into one small room, and other various things. So I've only really popped my head up just briefly in the last 2 days, just had a look here and I had a look there. Where's this show going to go on Friday? And wow, you don't have to try hard. You really don't. There's that much just coming at us. It's a poonami of information because, it's a shit show and we're going to sift through it, trying to find the nuggets. The gold nuggets in amongst all the brown nuggets, I guess. And, what happened to the white dog poo, as a friend of mine would say? Oh, there it goes floating down next to that nugget of truth. Oh. Excuse me. Sips. Where were my manners? Sorry. Drinking without my friends. Hey, I don't want the sound here. I thought this was a good one. Miss Afghanistan 2026. That's gold. Yeah, there's a religion of peace. I'm sorry, the word religion and peace, I don't know. I'm reminded of a Megadeth lyric. While you pray for me, you realize you are pray for me. Just thought I'd put that in there. Because they don't hate, they don't ban hate speech, they ban speech they hate, and it doesn't matter which side of this you're looking at. I'm not interested in banning the speech. I want everybody to see what they are, because the truth will speaks for itself. You can see exactly who these people are. And Tommy Robertson had a nice few choice words to say. Your government, well, I say it all the time, fucked me for over a decade for talking about these facts. And here it is. 3 men who raped teenager in Rotherham told her this is what white girls are for. The court hears. Wonderful. You know what? I think we should import more people like that. They're really good people, Wonderful. Wonderful. Now, this is an interesting one. It comes sort of from a video, which, there's a whole bunch of shit in here. Like, it's pretty interesting. And a lot of it I've kind of looked at, which is pretty funny. It's a lot. So what I'm going to do, rather than sit here and spend a lifetime going through this, because wow, it's pretty huge. It's pretty funny. How accurate this thing is, it's anyone's guess. But I thought it was an interesting diagram I found at the last minute. Apparently, it's been banned from everywhere. See if I can't get myself banned. I'm going to put it up on Telegram for you, mob, to come over and have a look at. So, if you haven't already jumped over, check the description for links and ways of things you might want to try and help us out with, like funding the goddamn show, for instance. There's only so long I'm going to continue to fund to work for free. In fact, I'm paying to work. Like, how do you manage that? Like, if what's the word for it? If working for free is slavery, what's paying to work? Because it's kind of like what we do in this world, isn't it? Really, I got to pay and pay just to get to work, through taxes, roads, all these other, even if you walked, it's costing me time, so you're paying just before you even get to work. Then once you get to work, they're stealing your money. Then they insist you do more free work called filling in taxes, tax paperwork. That's working for free, because they don't give you anything for it. But it's worse than that because, especially under elbow, as everyone found out last tax season, when you do all this work expecting you might get some of your money back, that was the original incentive. That's why it used to be called a tax return. It's not that anymore. We get a bill instead. So I'm forced to do paperwork, and then I have to pay for the privilege of having worked to do that. So what's the word for that, ladies and gentlemen? And you're like, I mean, in my mind, a big word starts with F, rhymes with fire truck, seems to come into it, Sips. So anyway, if you'd like to help me not work for free, that'd be wonderful. I mean, like I've been saying, perhaps it's just my own personal mental therapy at this point. Of course, you can contact me, NQ Freedom Network at Proton Mail, if you want to get a copy of that for yourself. Of course, there's all these Bitcoiny things that you can do. You can swipe them and give us a hand. There's always the PayPal scenario. It's also in the description. You better actually get that other thing off the screen so you can see that properly. And of course, those of you who've been waiting for it, there's the Telegram link, and it's just at NQ Freedom. If you go to Telegram, punch in at NQ_freedom, and you can find a link to that thing. I'll do it right now so I don't forget. So here we go. Opening. Actually, sorry to everybody who counts on me putting links into the Telegram thing too. I actually didn't do that today. Sorry, but maybe help out. And those of you watching on X, let me know if there's any trouble. Apparently, we discovered when logging in today that StreamYard's been having trouble with X. So if anything goes wrong, please, again, look in the description for various other places you can find us so that you can let me know what's going on, I guess. And of course, watch the show from someplace else. All right, so that's that sorted. I think we got all that. Time to push forward and fucking engage. All right. Share screen. We're gonna go right to the beginning. Wow. I got to be carried away, didn't I? All right, let's try and rip through this as fast as we can because we do have a bit of a time limit. All righty then. We'll go. Actually, you know what? I just thought of something. A wonderful person sent me a video that I should play because I think it's an important place to sort of set the stage, because, like I've titled this, Epstein arrests. It seems like the ball's rolling, but ultimately let the show begin because let's face it, these people love putting on a show, Speaking of shows, here's a wonderful way to describe, some of the less fortunate people in the world who possibly suffer some kind of mental handicap, and still have trouble discerning fact from fiction. Here's a quick little video to sort of get the juices flowing, at the very least, perhaps tears flowing as you laugh.
And The Quest for a Free Hot Dog by John Cooper. This is the tragic story of the Covidiot. The Covidiot couldn't think for himself. He trusted the authorities no matter how ridiculous their rules were. He did everything he was told no matter how absurd it was. The man on TV announced a deadly virus going around the world, a pandemic, even though there was no actual evidence of that in the real world. Just give up all your freedoms and lock down in your homes, the man on TV said. The Covidiot was hypnotized by all the marketing slogans thrown at him and complied immediately. The Covidiot was told by the man on TV to keep a lookout for anyone that was not following orders.
You know what I really love about this animation is that his fucking mask opens up to make the mouth. It's almost as funny as the fucking idiot I seen who had like one of these masks that come out and made it look like a duck bill. And I'm like, oh my God, she looks like fucking Donald Duck. Oh my God, fuck. Hilarious, you people. Oh, bloody no. And I was talking to somebody during the week too, and they're like, I can't believe the face nappies still. Like, people are getting around in face nappies and they're driving around in the car by themselves with windows up and a face nappy on. Oh my God, it's still that dumb. But I consider it a civic duty. These people putting those face nappies on lets you know that they only have the ability to regurgitate the bullshit Therefore, face nappy to catch the bullshit that will spew from their mouths at any moment, because all they can do is repeat the regurgitated narrative.
He saw a man walking in his neighborhood, breathing fresh air, and therefore putting everyone at risk. The Covidiot had to do his bit for the community and decided to report him to the police. The Covidiot needed to go for his essential shop. He decided it was better to be safe than sorry and drove in his car alone with his mask on. As he was driving, he saw all the gyms were closed, but McDonald's was allowed to stay open. They really do care about our health, cheered the Covidiot.
Oh, I love it.
Stay back 6 feet, the Covidiot shouted in terror as someone came close to him.
But I don't speak Imperial. Can I have that in metric, please?
The Covidiot made sure everyone he saw were no closer than 6 feet from him. Any closer, and the Covidiot thought it would almost certainly catch the virus.
Or are we better off again? Because it seemed to be like, what was it, 1.5 meters in meter? Was it 1.5 or 2 meters? I can't remember how they converted that, because they had to keep it simple, because, you know, we're talking to simple people here, of course. You know, you don't want to make it too complicated by making it 1.8 meters and then therefore consistent with about as close as you can be with 6 feet, because it's still not accurate, is it? You know, it doesn't translate perfectly, but 1.8 meters is roughly 6 feet, as I'm told. So, I mean, you know, if we go 1.5, are we less safe than everybody else? Like, did anybody really think about that one? It's an important detail I think we need to address. You know, like, you know, were we saved by being a little bit closer, perhaps?
As he walked around, he noticed the books, toys, electronics, home decor, bedding, gardening supplies, sports equipment, makeup, craft materials, stationery, furniture, seasonal items, and outdoor gear were all closed off from the public. Yet the alcohol section remained fully open. The Covidiot didn't see any issue with this as he strolled past. The Covidiot was delighted as he finally found what he was looking for, something that would guarantee his survival. On the way home, the Covidiot stopped off in his local restaurant. He panicked as there were so many dirty spreaders in there. However, when he sat down and his meal arrived, he took his mask off. "Oh goody, the virus can't get me if I'm eating my dinner," said the Covidiot proudly. That evening, the Covidiot watched the countless TikTok videos of doctors and nurses doing synchronized dance routines that would have taken hours and hours to rehearse and perform during a supposed pandemic. However, the penny didn't drop for the Covidiot that the hospitals were obviously empty. The next day, the Covidiot received the sad news that his nan was dying in her care home. But the man on TV said people could not see their loved ones because they need to stay home and stay safe instead.
Yeah, pretty hard.
The same day, a Black Lives Matter rally took place near the Covidiot's home, and the man on TV said you couldn't catch the virus if you're at a BLM rally. And
I must add that, you know, I was actually sent out by Channel 9 to cover that said rally. Even the moron reporter at the time said, "I can't believe they're doing this, but anyway, this is your job." Hey, I got one job.
"Oh, wonderful luck! I'll go to that instead," said the Covidiot. A few months later, an experimental jab.
You know, the worst thing was talking to the fucking idiots at the rally. Like, they all said the same thing. Like, it was like they read it all off of the same back of the same cereal box or something. Fucking retards. Anyway,
jab was rushed out, despite real vaccines typically taking years of research, trials, and testing. The man on
real vaccines. Is there such a thing? Real vaccines? I don't know. I think, given all the lies and deceit we've seen, you could drink all the vodka you wanted, except if it was Russian. It must be pertaining to something anyway.
Despite real vaccines typically taking years of research, trials, and testing. The man on TV bombarded the Covidiot with new marketing slogans. "Your shot to get back to normal. Protect your loved ones. Get the vaccine. Do it for the greater good." Of course, the Covidiot followed orders unquestioningly. Despite getting the jab that was meant to protect him, the Covidiot was told he had COVID a few days later. Instead of questioning this, the Covidiot was programmed by the man on TV to believe that he wasn't safe until everyone had this jab. The Covidiot was programmed by the man on TV to target those who thought for themselves and question the mainstream narrative, belittling, shaming, and coercing them into getting the experimental injection that doesn't protect you.
Now, we got to laugh at this point, because how many of us actually had to suffer these fucking morons, you know? Like, and the sad truth is, at this point, it's not a, yay, we were right. It's a, fuck, I wish you'd listen to us. You know, that's the sad thing, you know? I'm sure a lot of people are rejoicing and getting off on all this sort of shit. the truth is finally coming out. To me, it's fucking sad that it had to happen in the first place for people to fucking see. Like, seriously. Like, to me, it was just so painfully obvious, but many a thing has been painfully obvious to me. So I actually have sympathy for the COVIDiot, because, you know, this is a serious mental illness that the COVIDiot is suffering here.
If they chose not to, he would shout the insults he was programmed to use, like tinfoil hat wearer, in an attempt to force compliance. That weekend, the COVIDiot went to watch his favourite football team play. Multiple players collapsed with heart issues on the pitch, and there was a medical emergency in the crowd. But this has always happened, said the COVIDiot confidently and reassuringly. Just 3 weeks after his experimental jab, the COVIDiot was rushed to hospital. He had a heart problem, developed blood clots, and got a turbo cancer. But he just couldn't connect the dots. I must have long COVID, sighed the COVIDiot. The man on TV was now moving the goalposts and saying one jab wasn't enough and that everyone now needs a second jab to be fully vaccinated. Only then could they have their freedom back. I have no choice but to take the second jab, said the COVIDiot, who had only just got out of hospital. I mean, how else can I have a holiday in Mallorca? Now the man on TV was demanding a third jab, a booster. Only then could you get your freedom back. But with this, you could get a free hot dog. Hurrah! Whooped the COVIDiot, holding his free hot dog aloft in triumph after getting his booster. Look at all those pathetic anti-vaxxers who have missed out.
You know what? I can't eat a fucking hot dog, and I don't think it's really a wonderful incentive. To be honest, I think it's one of the most disgusting foods next to a McDonald's burger that's ever been invented. Those things are vile. Absolutely vile.
A few days later.
Just
think how bad it could have been if I didn't get the jab.
The COVIDiot and the quest for a free hot dog, out now on Amazon.
So apparently it could actually be a real thing. I don't know, but that was absolutely hilarious, but extremely sad at the same time, because, you know, we all know COVIDiots. You know, whether they've stopped being idiots or not is, you know, there's still, you know, a lot of people are still, you know, defenders of the faith. And the power of belief. They believe the government gave a shit about them. Like, that's really sad, you know. Yeah, it leaves you a bit speechless. But anyway, but as much as we've had a bit of a laugh and I've demonstrated that perhaps, you know, we should be a little bit more, you know, caring. You know, unfortunately, we are seeing a lot of oh shit, where did it end up? Oh, I had another video here, but it didn't work for some reason. Did it go into the wrong folder, perhaps? Well, anyway, it was a demonstration of people sort of rejoicing, and I don't know that this is a time to really rejoice. For one, oh well, look, we'll deal with that as we go. Let's get into it. So the poonami, of course, it's been raining here in Townsville, and you know, we seen what happened last year when it rained. You know, that's what's coming through the water. There's in gumboots, there's shit's flowing through the yard. You know, wonderful sewage leaks, you know, water spewing out the sewage, you know, which they conveniently dump in people's properties. That's wonderful. You know what? I've got an idea. Everybody's got one of them sewage lines. We should be charging them tax for having that on our property, don't you think? I think that's a wonderful idea. But anyway, we've got the poonami coming through. All our parks have turned into lakes, and they drain out and all the rest. So, you know, we want to congratulate Townsville City Council for, you know, the astounding decades, perhaps, of neglect that has allowed our infrastructure to turn to absolute shit in all ways. So let's move on to the next poonami. All right, I didn't forget to get rid of that bit. All right, so every Australian now, I don't want to start here. Ended up here anyway. All right, this is a bit of a mess, ladies and gentlemen. You'll have to bear with me while I try and put things in a little bit more of an order. Thought I had things better than that. All right. So more than 200 individuals in de-radicalization programs around the country, new figures have revealed. That's wonderful. You know, apparently 1/3 of them are under 18. I did want to do a little bit more digging, but I never got around to it, because the big question is, you know, there's 230 people, you know, apparently, Sunday Telegram obtained that. Let's see if they've got more. I'd like to know. Oh, actually, before, well, I can't do it anyway. I haven't prepared. Over 40% of the participants had ideologically motivated extremist ideologies, which could mean anything, while about 35% had religiously motivated extremist ideologies, and 1 in 3 of the participants was under the age of 18. So, how many of these have, come through socialist indoctrination centers of varying degrees? It's not just the filthy scum that comes out of our own fucking institutions, where they institutionalize the mind into its wonderful state of insanity that we see exhibited on a daily basis. But we've also got all sorts of other archaic ones that have been going around for thousands of years, as we pointed out through the Power of Belief podcast we did a few weeks ago. Why do people believe in insanity? That's what does my head in the most. It always has. I remember sitting there in church as a child just going, really? This is like cult shit. Except I didn't know what cult shit was at the time, but I put this mind into that young mind and I go, yeah, this is cult shit. Steps. The human race got a lot of waking up to do, a hell of a lot. This is just scratching the surface, is why I'm not really rejoicing. We'll get to what's interesting about it all as we come to wrap up. So anyway, that's the wonderful work the Labor Party and the Liberal Party have been overseeing, because let's face it, Albo took over from ScoMo, who really wasn't doing much to solve the problems. In fact, he was the chief architect in the COVID idiot scenario, successfully handballing everything off to state people, going, don't blame me, it's the states. Not like you can't rein them in or anything, or remind them of their, basic constitutional right, ties to the bindings of the Constitution, upon politicians, and how they were violating our human rights. But anyway. So anyway, what else have I got? So more than 200 potential terrorists. Yep. Well, we did that bit. Let's keep moving. That's right. So we were going on. So I don't know how I come across this Hellenic. It just didn't sound very nice to have the word hell in it. But then I thought, hang on, that means bright in German. What does it mean? Let's look it up. So Hellenism is the modern pluralistic religion, as opposed to monotheistic, and of course it's Polynesian and paganism. So it's almost like they're trying to insult it as it goes, Look, let's face it, when we look at the ancient gods of all these places, things start to make sense when you start to realize that perhaps they were all some kind of an overseer of some sort, whether, grown here in, whether it was grown here on this planet, or whether it's come from some place else, is yet to be seen. But I think there's an amazing fascination with a lot of these things, and the amount of similarities. Another one that you can look up in your own time is look up the 3 Mercuries: the planet, the god, and the element, and have a look at all the similarities and how things are tied into each other. It's only in the modern world have we really compartmentalized things. So we've torn everything apart, shoved it into pigeonholes, and then left it unsolved as just a giant library of fucking God knows what, which is why so many people are confused, because they haven't been able to connect the dots. Anyway, I wanted to be sure I was looking at something that was reasonable, even though it's some might say, oh, it's foreign. Well, I don't really care. Information is information. What's important is that it's important enough for overseas to be looking at things like One Nation voters erupt over beer tax. Of course. Well, I was pretty much what I was pointing out last week. Good to see they're, catching up to what's going on, Of course, what I do find interesting, let's have a look at that swirly pattern. Some of us know what that means. It'll lead into our next topic, no doubt. Australian Muslims report surge in anti-Muslim hate as leaders call for unity. So here we are, torn between two worlds. As you know, the Muslims are going to go, but everybody hates us, and the Jews are going to go, yeah, but everybody hates us, and us Catholics and Christians in the middles. Well, not that I really prescribe to that. I'm a being of light, and all the rest. I don't prescribe to religion. You know, those people somewhere caught in the middle, as both these people are attempting to come and live in their country, telling them that they're not being appreciated enough. There's an airport. You're not happy, piss off. It's not hard. Very simple. You know, well, what did you expect? You come here with your ridiculous ways, you know, and you want to say that white women are here just to be raped by you. Sorry, I'm not going to be welcoming you, you know. But, you know, and it's all over the European world because we are under attack. It's that simple. Absolute BS. Albanese called out for issuing ISIS brides with passports. Finally. I mean, they've been up and down, but boy, is he under a lot of fire. And this is the thing. It's not just what's happening with Epstein world. It's what's happening everywhere. Everything is coming down. There's a big shift. What's causing it? We'll get to it. All right. So, you know, part of it obviously is people wanting to know and actually going, right, we've had enough. We can see this guy is one of the biggest criminals that Australia has ever seen. I mean, of course, Dan Andrews and, you know, his cohort, Jacinta, you know, it just seems to be that name that just seems to be synonymous with terrorist women, you know, people who terrorize their own countries, you know. Like, I mean, come on. This is like Australia's version of Saddam Hussein in a sense, you know. The guy is a criminal and the military needs to step in and have him removed. He is a lying piece of shit, and he has brought dangerous people into our country. Just because they're women, they can't, you know, be they're chosen to be part of ISIS. They are the brides, and they think it's their God-given duty to be inseminated and then breed more little minions. This is dangerous beyond belief. Home Affairs Tony Minister told secret meeting there would be no blockages to the return of ISIS. Thanks. I mean, of course, this is December 3, but here we are, February 20th. This guy's still not in a jail cell. What's going on? Labor left faction found a pink ball and says anti-Semitism is a problem with the party. That's because there's not enough voters in Caulfield for them to give a shit. You know, they only care about the fact that they've imported so many of the specific voters, where we've got, you know, up to 30% Muslim vote in a lot of these Labor held seats, you know, but that won't last by the look of things. That's not where I wanted to be yet. Where's the rest of it? Labor warned it could face higher borrowing rates. Again, another epic failure, you know, as they've now reached 1 trillion debt. Yes. But hey, we've got some Epstein files. That'll help you while these guys fuck the country a little bit further, eh? Sips to that. 1 trillion in debt. Congratulations, Australia. We've all blindly allowed a criminal organization to not only take control, but to run us into an astounding amount of debt. And you're expected to pay for it. I'm expected to pay for it. Our children are expected to pay for this criminal cartel. Geez, Batty, that's a bit strong. How can you call these people criminal cartels? Well, it's not just me. Albanese hosts Ritz-Carlton dinner from the Melbourne's business elite. Financial Review. They'd know, wouldn't they? Wow. Thanks, guys. Let's hang on. I'm just going to drop this down for a second. I'm going to fix this because it was supposed to go through a filter first. We'll give that a second and we'll come back to it. There's a little bit of a mess here anyway, so I'm going to quickly fix out a few things. Clunky interfaces. Well, I didn't tell you to do that. And yeah, when you click on something, you just want it to go one little bit, and then it goes, no, we're going all the way to the end of the page. Fucking stupid things. You know, thank you for thinking of what you think I might need next. Couldn't make this shit up, you know. Anyway. That needs to go there. 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 Oh my God, what a mess. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We'll deal with it as we go because this stupid thing keeps going backwards and forwards all over the bloody place. So no blockages. Right, where are we? Labor left. Budget blowouts. That's where we are. All right, bringing this back. So Labor warned it could face higher borrowing rates. Obviously, we know this sort of thing, and budget blows out. And always as milestone draws near. Like, quick, let's dance out around the maypole. Oh shit, sorry, a bit too early. We've got to wait a couple of months for the maypole dancing with the rest of the fucking socialist scum that have been celebrating that for so long, and also going back to pagan rituals. So, well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, but only when it suits us. Isn't that right, Elbow? Never mind the fact that Hitler and Stalin also loved maypole dancing. It's okay. So does the Labour Party. All right. So that milestone blowout. But here's some more milestones. Rot on the yacht. Gatto throws a Labor Party on Celeb's yacht. Two prominent Victorian Union and Labor power brokers have been filmed dining with gangland figure Mick Gatto on a yacht. And I'd just like to thank, the courts for banning the was it Underbelly back in the day in Victoria? Because I probably wouldn't have watched it if you didn't tell me I couldn't. So what did I do? Oh, I managed to acquire copies and make sure everybody in Victoria got a copy as best I could. It was my civic duty. You don't tell me what I can and can't see. Fuck you. So anyway, raising fresh questions about the Allen government's efforts to combat underworld influence in the state's economy and trade unit. Like, really? Is that how you put it? Raising fresh questions about her ability or her efforts? What efforts? How do you think the Labor Party operates? It's a fucking criminal cartel. This is, like I said, it's not me saying it. It's right here in the Age. Criminal cartel. They may as well say it, but they're too chicken to fucking say it just yet. They needed it all to come out. Well, like I said, where's the military? Where's ASIO? Where's the police? The police have attempted to arrest the Labor Party in Australia in the past. Where were the mainstream headlines then? You fucking cowards! You two, they act like this is the tortoise and the hare, and us, alleged conspiracy theorists. We're the tortoise, right? We're near on the finish line. We're nearly done. They're asleep under a friggin' tree somewhere. These people are morons. Anyway, nice of them to finally catch up to that which we've all known. Anybody who walks the street, anybody who's worked in building and construction knows how this shit works. Eventually they get brainwashed because, I got a day off. It's a union site. I don't have to do things. It's all right. We'll get Mr. Gatto to sort out these guys. How dare them make us work that extra day? Anyway, 15 billion poured into criminals' hands. Bombshell findings. CFMEU tried to hide. So an Albanese government. See, interesting. Criminal, CFMEU, Albanese government. Is it a wrong statement, to assert that our government, the Labor government in particular, and probably the Liberal government as well, are criminal cartels? These are not governments. Removing findings. So an Albanese government appointed official stripped politically explosive sections from a landmark corruption report, removing findings that Victoria's Labor government turned a blind eye to CFMEU. Did it turn a blind eye? White turned its hand around the back going, yeah, just hand me that cash over here, mate. Yep, thank you very much for that. She'll be right. Who gives a shit about the taxpayer? CFMEU graft and organised crime on infrastructure projects, including federally funded sites, at a cost to taxpayers of $15 billion. Any wonder we got a debt that's reaching a milestone? Thank you, Labor. Aren't you wonderful? In an extraordinary development on Tuesday evening, after this masthead asked CFMEU Administrator Mark Irving KC if he or his administration had whitewashed material damaging to Labor from the report, the senior barrister, released the deleted chapters and criticized the corruption expert he hired to write them. You can't make this shit up. But, look, enough from me. I'll give the Liberal Party a chance. The Liberal Party are evolving, and they've brought in this lovely lady. I don't know if lovely is the right word, but
Lamborghinis that the Victorian taxpayer paid for the worst corruption scandal in the history of Victoria. An independent corruption report has exposed that this government's brazen corruption has cost Victorians a staggering $15 billion. That equates to $5,000 paid by every single household, all while there is a cost of living crisis. This same corruption report exposes how government work sites were turned into drug distribution dens. It details the employment of a convicted killer as a health and safety worker. It details that state-funded strippers being paid to entertain on-site, extortion, bribery and corruption galore, women being forced to perform sex acts to get a job on site, and it also talks about gangland figures driving around in Ferraris and Lamborghinis that the Victorian taxpayer paid for. This is corruption that belongs in a third world country, not here in our great state of Victoria. So how's that, Deputy Speaker, the Allen Labor government using taxpayers' money to fund crime and criminal activity in our state?
So, she's a member of the Liberal Party. I don't know what you thought. Hang on. She looks more like a Labor politician. Well, you know, she speaks pretty fluent English, obviously been here for a little while, and, you know, let's try and not pull the race card. Let's just have a look at who she is, shall we? Nicole Werner, you know, Nicole Ta'ai, I guess that's how you say it, is an Australian politician. Some people might have choked on that, but anyway, she was elected as a member of Warrandyte in the Victorian Legislative Assembly by-election. You know, what's the seat of Box Hill? What have I been saying for years? Go and have a walk through Box Hill and play, you know, seriously, there's not a lot of English being written, spoken around there these days. Used to be. I could not recognize the place from the place it was when I was a child due to the insane amount of people that have been imported, and they've assimilated so well that there is now virtually no English written on shop fronts. So it's no surprise that somebody of this ethnic origin has been there, astoundingly, but for the Liberal Party. But, you know, wait, there's still more. You know, there's a Pentecostal mega church thing going on here, which seems to also have ties to the Liberal Party in a lot of ways. So there's your religious ties back to another party and still dragging us back into old ways of thinking. You know, it's Christian. So, I mean, there's possibly a little less, you know, kitty fiddling going on there with these people. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's been my personal experience and observation that where there's monotheism, there's usually pedophilia. You know, it's a shocking reality that people are just going to have to start to accept, because you think 2% of the Epstein files is exciting. Wait till you see what's coming next. Anyway, well, we did the budget blowout. Oh, still more budget blowout. I doubled up on that one. Am I going backwards somehow? Where are we? All right, 15 billion poured into criminal hands. Yep, we did that. Let's keep moving. Labor's murky tactics in ISIS bride's reputation. It's a little bit out of order. We're coming back to this again. Reputation plot exposed as questions remain over legality of issued passports. Wow, it just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? I think we've got a video to go along with this one. No. Thought I did, but I decided not to, I think, in the end, and just decided to do it this way. Okay, so Anthony Albanese has confirmed ISIS brides received passports. Do we really need to see any further? Like, I mean, that's what's happened. We know it's happened. It's been one cover up after another cover up. You know, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You know, I mean, here's the lovely ladies. I'm guessing there's ladies under there. Who knows? I don't know if the LGBT lunacy is like caught on there and they're just men hiding in burqas. How would you fucking know? You don't. You know, that's another problem. You know, it's not exactly safe or secure. You know, it's like at the end of the day, let's all just start walking around wearing these bedsheet things. And now what? You know, facial recognition gone. All you're looking. Again, is that what this is for? Are these people being used? So that, oh no, we need to be able to identify their faces. Everybody should be able to show their face, so our facial recognition software works better and we can control you better. And we're going to use these people because they're so easily used to push their narrative. Is that what this is about? Is that what Labor's ultimate plan is? To use them to maintain power, to use them for the vote, to use them to then exploit communist control methods? Is that, I mean, the Labor Party are a criminal cartel. Anything is possible when it comes to these people. You know, we don't know what their motivations are, but I guarantee you it's selfish, because I've not seen any evidence to the contrary that would convince me that a member of a Labor Party is any way, shape or form gives a shit about the Australian people. One banned from entering Australia as so-called ISIS brides try to flee. So we're not getting support from Australia anymore. Quick, run. The Albanese government has provided a massive update on a group of so-called ISIS brides trying to return to Australia from war-ravaged Syria. Wow. Did you pick the wrong side? Quick, come cowering back to Australia where you can get all your free welfare, all your children looked after. 11 women and 23 children. Wow. So 2 kids each. They haven't been that busy, I guess. I don't care if it's women and children. I'm sorry. These people have been radicalized. And as we've already seen, we started with how many people are in radicalization treatment fucking facilities at the moment. It's like a re-education center for Islam in a sense. But obviously other radicalized groups, possibly leftards, are running around trying to murder people who don't want to support their ridiculous ways. I can confirm that one individual in the cohort has been issued a temporary exclusion order, which was made on the advice of security agencies. At this stage, security agencies have not provided advice that other members of the cohort meet the required legal thresholds for temporary exclusion orders. I'm sorry, we do not need any more problems in this country. We have our own problems. Once we clean up our own yard, then perhaps we can look at other people's yards. But we got a lot of cleaning to do, so don't hold your breath, people overseas. Perhaps you should fix your own fucking countries. In other amazing news, Celine Against the Machine has certainly won, although that's not what we were supposed to go. Identities 11 Australian ISIS brides finally revealed. So they've revealed them. That's where we're going to keep hammering this point, I guess. Traveled from Sydney to the region in her early 20s. She has long maintained she did not knowingly enter Syria. Did not knowingly enter Syria. Are we saying that she's that subservient to the ideology that she didn't know what was going on? Blind faith, perhaps? I mean, come on. Been holidaying with relatives in Lebanon, another one of those wonderful upstanding countries at the moment, you know. Only realized she had crossed into Syria when she saw an Islamic State flag. Really? Well, I mean, when you come to the Australian airport and you see that, you think you're in Syria? Come on, walk down the streets of Melbourne these days, you know. They're like, oh, it's just infuriating, isn't it? So anyway, let's Iranian protesters burn an effigy of Baal. This is a good one. You can read into this one as you like. What happened there? Thank you. Watch Iranian watch, it says. From the Times of India, Iranian protesters burn Baal effigy marked with Star of David, chant death to Israel at rally. All right, there's good old Baal, and he's got his wonderful Star of David thing going on, which again, for those of you who have looked into Egyptology, can actually see the 3-dimensional phase of that. That is just a 2-dimensional construct of what it actually looks like. Again, go and see ancient Egypt for more answers. And as we looked into it, all these monotheistic religions seem to stem from Egypt as well. So along with a lot of these gods. How many people have watched Stargate? Not just the movie. Movie's a great place to start, but hey, that TV series, although cheesy, I mean, come on, MacGyver headed it for 8 years, is possibly one of the more informative of cheesy, mindless dribble to watch, I guess. I try to find things that are fit for children, and it doesn't matter what I look at. I end up explaining things I didn't really want to explain, like, Dad, why do they treat women so badly? As we look at ancient cultures. Explain that stuff to a 4-year-old. It's great fun. Explaining the world to adults is hard enough. Explaining it to a 4-year-old without upsetting them, by God, that's a real challenge. But, I've never been one for sugarcoating things. Facts are facts, and you need to understand that there are some very sick people out there. Otherwise, they might end up voting for them. Victorian state voting intention, One Nation, 26.5%, now ahead of ALP at 25.5%. That didn't take long. Last week, it was only at 18%. No, it wasn't 18. It was more than that, sorry. But it surged a bit, and now they're ahead. They are falling hard. And as more and more of the Labor corruption and filth is exposed, even the most diehard is going to be forced to want to change camps. Now, it's pretty simple numbers. Is it in this one? No, I think it was in another one. One of these other ones had a little table in here. I think I've misplaced it somewhere where it made it nice and easy, but we're going to have to do it the hard way. All right. So anyway, so ALP government at 25. So One Nation's in the lead at 26, combined with LNP, because they're basically, they've gone hand in hand now. That's going to give us a quick, 48% of the primary vote just between those two straight away, with, the Greens only at 13. They're never going to gain more support. If anything, it's going to continue to plummet as more and more reality comes into effect. But, some people, no matter how much reality and fact you show them, they are just head in the sand, blind faith. Support the Greens, and a further 13% support other minority parties and independents, according to Special SMS Morgan. So, a lot of that, another 13%. The minor parties are probably going to funnel into One Nation. It looks like One Nation are a shoo-in for a Victorian win at this particular point, which would be a wonderful change just to see something different. But will it actually work out to be, seeing that we're still tied in with the same old system and the old structure, which will no doubt lead to something bad? But we've got to be in it to win it. And let's face it, going liberal, labor, like a game of toilet tennis, washing one turd flush after another, hasn't exactly worked out well for us. So, truth, anything's going to be worth the go. But if One Nation absolutely flop and fail and turn out to be just as bad as the lot, then I think we'll finally have the demonstration that our current system doesn't fucking work in effect. Speaking of things that don't work, back to the Liberal Party. Angus Taylor is the new leader of the Liberal Party. Who is he? That's a good question. Okay. After months of speculation. Now, that opening statement says a lot. That's like, yep, we knew damn well that it was a lead change coming. Susan Ley had no hope. It was like the uncharismatic bore that I seen straight away. I thought, this woman's doomed. She's inherited a sinking ship, and she has the charisma of a cornflakes box, but the no-name variety, not even a Kellogg's cornflakes box. This is the home brand fucking Kellogg's box. She had no charisma, and no hope. This guy, probably another no-hoper, another desperate attempt to try and save them. But given that One Nation is surging and Liberal Party is desperately clinging behind to keep itself relevant in some way, because the Liberal Party is in the worst position it's been in since 1944. Since World War II, the Liberal Party has not looked this bad. Reality. It's got to love it. So, who is this dickhead? He's a conservative heavyweight. James Patterson described the leadership aspirant as the smartest policy brain in the shadow cabinet and a man of deep conviction. You know what? I swear they say that every time. Like, it's a scripted line. That is bullshit. The former shadow defense minister, he is, was the chosen one of the Liberals' right faction. So you can see they're coming back to oh shit, really? We can't have two left major parties? Why can't that work? We've got to go back? Really? Oh, okay. But that's not what the UN told us. Oh, okay. I guess we better follow orders. Back to the right, quick. Abandon ship. By season, you're going down with that one. So the left thing didn't work for them. It would seem. I think we pretty much summed this guy up pretty quickly. Of course, they're going to say, father of four, good on him. So am I. Can I be prime minister? I got 4 kids. Do I qualify? Some sort of qualifying thing. Hey, Abdul with the machine gun down the street there, he's got 22. Does it make him more qualified? Oh. He has rallied against insidious political correctness. We all have. So obviously this is a problem for the ABC, being completely left and possibly realizing the ship is sinking, which means their funding is going along with it because they're tethered to the left machine. They're going down. They're going down. And are we going to see the gay BC be a little less gay? Stop trying to stick fingers in children's bumholes and start focusing on what Australians really care about. Of course, net zero is another one of their big problems. Who gives a shit? Like, you can just pick through this, and just see the filth that is the gay BC all over it. Anyway, let's move on to the exciting stuff, which is Celine against the machine. This is possibly the most exciting news in Australia at the moment. Has a single a female. Is she a single? I can't remember. I know she's a. What was it? There was an article here. It's in there somewhere. Sorry, sneak preview into the future. Time machine. What the fuck happened to it? Oh, we've lost an article somewhere in the fucking chaos. All right. Where is it? Anyway, maybe I just decided in a brief moment there and I've forgotten that. Where am I? What a mess. What a mess. Apologies. There we are. Celine against the machine has kicked the shit out of the e-safety commissioner. What a wonderful day for sanity this is, as insanity has been defeated. But at what cost, might I ask? How much money has the taxpayer had to fund for an American retard to come along, claim to be the ultimate e-Karen, waste copious amounts of money? Let's see if we can't get this one, actually, while I'm ranting. Waste copious amounts of money taking on a mum for going against a queer club in a primary school. Like, I'm still in shock that Australians are so fucking piss weak that they would allow that to happen in the first place and stand by and watch it. What kind of a coward are you? Like, come on, this is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. E-Karen defeat. So, Australians, seriously, come on, guys. It's time to pull your heads out your asses. Now is the time to really give it a good flogging. Now is the time to put these people back in the place they belong, a jail cell. There is no better place for them as far as I'm concerned. And I can't wait. I mean, at the moment, we've got no faith in government. I got no faith in the police force, ASIO, or the military, because all 4 of those institutions have failed. I haven't got enough fingers for the quotation marks in this one. Have failed to protect and serve, which is what we pay for. I want my money back. Refund all tax dollars back. No representation, no money. No protection, no money. Like, seriously, it's like they're running a protection racket. Like you see in the movies where, the hoodlum comes in and bashes up the grocery shop owner for protection money. That's our government. The enforcers. By God, this is madness. When do people see this? It's beyond reckoning. But anyway, let's where did that go? I just saved that. Is it a file format that it doesn't like or something? Something is going wrong here. Going in the wrong folder. That needs to be there. Can I see it now? There we go. All right. Let's hear it from Sky themselves.
Legal fight against the e-safety commissioner over the right to criticise a queer club in a primary school. The federal court decision marks the end of a 2-year battle for the single mum.
2
who
years.
questioned why hundreds of thousands of dollars in public money was spent pursuing her.
Yep.
It's the end of a long road for single mum Celine
She was a single
Baumgarten, who took on the e-safety commissioner and won.
It's a win for free speech, it's a win for parental rights, and it's a win for Australia.
The
Bloody
30-year-old
oath.
from Western Sydney had posted a video to X in 2024 criticising a decision by a Melbourne primary school to host a queer club for students.
Primary school. Look at this. We've got the pronouns in the bio, we've got the rainbow lanyard, the rainbow... Oh, it's just so... Primary school. It was a concern that I had, and a lot of parents have in this country, about indoctrination going on in Australian schools, in particular primary schools.
The activist, herself bisexual, was shocked when her post was censored on X, the site telling her it had received a takedown notice from the e-safety commissioner. She appealed the takedown in the Administrative Appeals Tribunal and won. But Commissioner Julie Inman-Grant appealed that decision in the federal court, arguing the tribunal did not have jurisdiction over the dispute. Ms.
They're questioning the jurisdiction. Truth. I thought that was the kind of thing Darren would do. Wow. Apparently they've been watching Know Your Rights.
Baumgarten's legal team estimates the government-appointed regulator spent more than $250,000 fighting for its right to censor her.
It would be hilarious if it wasn't for all the...
Hang on. Let's just hear that again.
Government-appointed regulator spent more than $250,000.
More than $250,000. Lawyers got rich at taxpayer expense so that Karen can demonstrate how useless and stupid this woman is. She does not belong here in this country. She should be over there with Hillary Clinton defending their Epstein stuff.
Fighting for its right to censor her.
It would be hilarious if it wasn't for all the taxpayer dollars that was spent fighting this pointless litigation.
The federal court dismissed Ms. Inman-Grant's appeal on Wednesday. Chief Justice Deborah Mortimer noting the full court has decided that the tribunal did not make the legal errors alleged by the e-safety commissioner.
Of course. Now, if the e-safety commissioner had to set some kind of a precedent against using the jurisdictional powers, that could have been problematic for the courts. They need to maintain their power too. Now, you always got to think everything's about maintaining their own power. The court system has to maintain its power. Its power is in, again, belief, the belief that we have faith in them. I do not. But they need to keep that illusion for those who are still spellbound and wearing face nappies, for instance.
E-safety started out as a reputable agency, protecting children online, something that we all want to do. Unfortunately, they have morphed into an ideologically driven powerhouse with a bottomless pit of taxpayer funds.
An e-safety spokesperson said, "We are actively considering the decision and are unable to comment further at this time."
In other words, our tail is tucked firmly between our legs. We have lost marginal ground here as Labor is losing across the board. If this was a chess game, it kind of looks a little bit like the king backed into a corner with one pawn defending him. They're in a lot of trouble. We've seen the Liberal Party absolutely crushed. I think we're about to see the Labor Party even further crushed. They were reveling and laughing and carrying on. This is why we're going to be careful not to start laughing and carrying on and celebrating too soon, because if you haven't got everything sorted properly and you're not acting in good faith and in good conscience as we evolve into the next great stage of the Great Awakening, you may find yourself hung out to dry real quick. But, so Celine against the machine, I thought I'd go and have a look at her own thing. And she's just basically gone, yep, a win for free speech and, and having to defend herself in some cases, it's just bang, one after the other. She's just got to post the media win. I like this one though. These two comments, obviously, anti-trans activist wins. Still got to rub the salt in. Who's this dickhead? Patrick Lenton? You're a fuckwit. All right, who's the next fuckwit? Noel Towell, anti-trans activist wins again. Like straight off, like it's exactly the same friggin' thing. Like, how left-heartedly stupid are you? You know, did Lentil take it from Towlett over here? Like now Towel, Noel Towell, like, you know, he must have just copied it straight off. You know, what's on your sheet, mate? Yeah, no worries. Yeah, left-hards win. Cool. Righto. No, left-hards lost badly. I also find it hilarious that these two articles were written by men. She says, fellas, you're not the ones having your biology worn as a costume, displayed as a fetish, and reduced to stereotypes. Sit down. I agree, Celine. You know, to the fact that, you know, again, it's ridiculous that we have to play the gender fucking role here, but, you know, at the end of the day, these leftards have left no choice but to use their own weapons against them. You have to take their own stupidity, turn it around, and hand it back to them using mirror magic. It's the only way they seem that you might get through them. But, you know, we are dealing with the kind of people who probably supported this guy. You know, former Prince Andrew arrested following Epstein files revelations. Now, this is exciting from a certain point of view, but they've sent us a clear message, and it's stated right here in the first sentence. London. Yes, that's where it happened. Police arrested the former Prince Andrew on Thursday, his 66th birthday. 33 degrees of masonry. This is a sacrifice. It's the way I'm reading this straight away. This is a sacrifice. They are sacrificing him. Could also be an opening stage. It could be look, we'll go for the royal family. The rest of you guys are in trouble. I'm reckoning there's a lot of people who are shaking very heavily at this point, because if they're willing to go to what's perceived as the top, we know it's not. Those who have actually done some research realize that the royal families and all those entities are just left for the covers of Women's Day magazines these days. They really don't have any power anymore. They really have no standing. The banks have taken that control, and who they serve, well, that's a whole nother story. We'll get to it one day, but not today. The development, unprecedented in the modern era, follows years of scrutiny over Andrew's relationship with Epstein. And that's the important thing to realize here, ladies and gentlemen. Years of scrutiny before they had to fucking act, because faith from the public has been completely lost. So they're throwing us a bone. Heightened in recent weeks by the release of millions of Justice Department files related to the late disgraced financier. Are we still calling him a financier? I thought he was, a little bit more than that. Sex offender. What about the blackmail component? Is there some sort of an intelligence apparatus to this? Disgraced financier. Again, it suggests that the NBC News is still asleep under the fucking tree. All right, that their level of reporting is so poor. But I guess, let's face it, the reporter cares about his wage, just like everybody else who seems to think that their only identity in life is their job. How do we identify people like this? Because they usually come up and say, "Hey, g'day, how you going, man? What do you do for a job?" That's the first, after they figured out what your name is, what do? You're defined by your work. As we pointed out with old mate the other week, the manipulation of our psyche is astounding. The first question on my mind isn't what you do for a job. Who are you at the core of your being? What is this being of light before me? Not what kind of slave duties have they got you in for, so you can pay exuberant amounts of tax for the privilege of paying back debts that you never created, that were created out of thin air. This is madness. Stop being silly. Time to wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Sips while I focus. Thames Valley Police said in a statement early Thursday it had arrested a man in his 60s on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Like, talk about media training. Could you have said less? Which carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. And what does that actually mean? What is life imprisonment? 20 years? I know in Australia it's about 20 years. Sentence. No. No. Doesn't seem to tell us much. We'll have to actually do more than skim. Well, I haven't got time for that today. So hang on. Wait, what happened now? This is all a mess. I swear this is changing every time I look at it. All right, we've done this. Every Australian name we know. What? All right, getting rid of that. I'm gonna have to start cleaning this out. We did the India Times. We did that bit. We did that bit. All right, here we are. All right, we need to get in front of that so we don't miss that one. No, there's that one there too. All right, sorry. Bit of a mess, ladies and gentlemen. Usually I have this a little bit more orderly, but something went wrong today. I should have done it in multiple browsers. It would have made more sense then. But anyway, the police force, which covers an area in South England where pointless information. We understand the significance of the public interest in this case. No shit. And we will provide updates at an appropriate time. So, in other words, this is going to take a long time. And as we've seen with poor Celine against the machine, it took her 2 years to fight utter stupidity. This is going to be messy. Can you imagine the bags and barrels and, perhaps even fort loads of money? Who's seen Game of Thrones? A Lannister always pays his debts, like, come on. These people will annihilate entire countries to pay off a debt to save their own fucking ass, to preserve their own power. Now, it seems that the royal family themselves have shunned old mate and shunned him quite, hence former prince. I didn't realize you could be demoted from these sorts of roles. It really is funny. It's almost as funny as finding out that the Pope could quit. It just really demonstrates how fragile and how fake all this shit is. It's just a show. Like I said, let the show begin. We're watching another show. This is bullshit. Until this guy is in a jail cell and singing about everybody else that he knows about, I'm not going to be satisfied. That's me. All right, we did that one. I'm going to get rid of that. All right, so former president over Epstein files. Yes, we've gotten really no interest, no interesting information at this point. The same is obviously they suspect that they have enough to go on. I consider the fact they hit him on his 66th birthday. Now, is that because they knew where he would be on his 66th birthday? Was it, they had a tip off and they knew that, hey, he's going to move. We better grab him while we can. Or are they sending that symbol? Because 66, it's a pretty significant number. 66, like 666, perhaps, 33 degrees of masonry times 2, perhaps. Like, come on. Sips, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe we should have a look. Have we got any starred comments here? Let's have a quick look. G'day, Heidi. How are you? Happy to join in. Awesome. Oh, you want to join in, do you? I suppose if you really want to. Sorry, I didn't see that earlier. Where is the flat Earth debate with Jackie? Yes, sorry, I will get that happening. We will have it. We will do it. We will do it. Thank you for reminding me, T2. We will get on to that one. So Heidi would like to join. Does anybody else think Heidi should join us? Like Heidi, I'll throw it at you, but I know that this time of day can be a bit challenging. Certainly can be for me too sometimes. Hang on, I just need to close that down so I can see what the hell is going on. It used to be. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I had to learn sign language quickly again because they don't use words anymore. Everything's icons. It's like little. Is it just me, or has anybody else noticed that when using technology now that it's all little symbols and stuff? It's like fucking hieroglyphs. They're inventing a new world universal language. A little gear means settings. A little person with a plus means add people. Shit like that. We're creating a digital hieroglyphic communication system here in case you haven't noticed. I just thought I'd like to point that out, and it makes you wonder what the fuck possessed ancient peoples to do a similar thing, because I can see the application when using software. For instance, we need to push that button, and that button needs to mean something. We've progressed a little bit past, the calculator here, which allegedly evolved from an abacus of all things, which, again, coming from a region that had all this knowledge. Go figure. Go fish, even. Anyway, I need to send a message to Heidi. Perhaps while we do that, we might do a quick little video. So, complete and utter segue here. Actually, no. Let's just dial it back a little bit. Here's an article about how fucking useless the Labor government is that I should have done a little bit earlier. So that's actually probably not too bad before we get too deep into this. Let's do that.
Cost of living and the economy, and how the Albanese Labor government is performing and how it's reacting to criticism. We know real wages have gone backwards. That was the economic news yesterday. Electricity prices continue to surge. Despite record increases, they're expected to keep going up thanks to Labor's renewable energy push. Government spending is at record levels, pushing up inflation again, and that's seen interest rates increase again, pushing mortgages up. Government debt is about to hit $1 trillion for the first time, $1,000 billion. And crucially, our productivity growth is low, with the Reserve Bank lowering its expectations. But the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, well, smug as ever, he reckons he's doing a great job.
Now, of course, with inflation higher than we'd like, that has implications for the real wages calculation. But the overwhelming story of this Labor government has been real wages growth.
Yeah, well, if there's confidence in the face of serious economic problems and an ongoing cost of living crisis doesn't worry you enough, have a look at how the...
I'm sorry, quick. Comments. Has anybody seen any wage growth, or again, are we just seeing the Labor Party do the typical thing where we gave ourselves a whole bunch of wage growth? Didn't anybody else get that? Fucking retard. There's another man who belongs in a jail cell for that sentence alone.
The Albanese government deals with fair criticism from experts. The government got a public warning from the former Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe yesterday. He blasted the federal government's cost of living handouts and inaction on boosting the overall size of the economy, warning it has condemned the nation to high interest rates, low wage growth and a stagnation in living standards, reported the Australian Financial Review. The productivity capacity of the economy is not growing very quickly, and the government wants to keep spending and wants to keep offering people handouts, which adds to demand, which in the normal course of events would be fine. But if the supply is not growing, you can't do it. And if you try to do it, then interest rates have to go up, said the former RBA governor. Specific and timely economic commentary from a well-qualified and experienced expert.
Now, a well-qualified and experienced expert in the fantasy that is economics, because let's face it, it is completely made up. Money doesn't exist. It's bullshit. It only exists because people are stupid enough to keep believing in it, much like they believe in these religions and these governments and these other institutionalized constructs designed to take your mind and put it in a fucking cage. This is madness. It's like, it's not even backed by anything, It's literally like watching somebody sit down and discuss the political implications of a Dungeons and Dragons mission, or whatever you call it, held in some kid's basement. That's fundamentally, but the difference is, everybody believes that Dungeons and Dragons campaign is somehow affecting their lives because they allow it to. That's where we're at. But anyway, let the fantasy continue.
But listen to the Treasurer's response.
I think it's a matter of public record. Phil Lowe would have liked to have been reappointed by the government. After he wasn't reappointed by the government, he's become a fairly persistent critic of the Labor government in the pages of the Financial Review and elsewhere. I think to some extent that's just human nature.
Well, he'll say
the economy, forget taxpayers and the cost of living crisis. He just played the man. And the Prime Minister did the same.
I haven't seen his comments, but, you know, Phil Lowe, the footballer, former Manly player or former RBA governor, you know, you have people who are exes who get their name in the paper.
Sorry, thank you. It's a quest, is it? I thought I saved myself in the second sentence by using the term campaign, but okay, quest. It's a Dungeons and Dragons quest, the quest for more money, you know. Yeah, Spaceballs 2, the quest for more money. Was that what it's called? Or was it the search for more money? I can't remember now. I'm paraphrasing now, but we all get the idea, you know.
How about that, hey? We have a government breaking its own economic promises. It's broken promises on the cost of living, on inflation, on mortgage rates and on electricity prices. Yet instead of tackling the problems, it just lashes out at the critics. But the other thing it does is spin. It spins like crazy, trying to sell an economic story that's the opposite to reality. Listen to the Prime Minister again.
Which is funny, coming from somebody who's still maintaining the illusion themselves in a lot of ways. But anyway.
What I'm focused on is today, making a difference today, right now. And that is something that we continue to do. And that.
Now, I'd just like to say, I think Albo is making a difference, you know, because what he's really doing is he's providing evidence that even the dumbest, darkest convid idiot, COVID idiot, you know, as we started the podcast with, can see is this guy is a complete liar. His government is corrupt beyond all measure. He is providing a wonderful service to the humanity. If he can, I know, try to hold the bile, please hear me out. You know, I can hear the hatred. I can feel the steam rising and pouring out of people's ears. How is Albo helping us? He is demonstrating to the dumbest of the dumb how incapable they are of maintaining the illusion any further. It is all a house of cards. It isn't just collapsing, it's on fucking fire. What's holding it up is the flames from the bottom. It's the heat that's keeping those cards fluttering above. It's the only thing that's holding this cock knocker up. He's in a hot air balloon with no basket. He's hanging from the fucking strings. He's done. You know, we just need somebody to get the big, long, you know, like a Warner Brothers cartoon or an old cheap bloody bit of slapstick from the early days of American entertainment. We'll get that cane with the hook on it and just rope this guy out and put him in a cell where he belongs, with padded walls, no doubt.
That's why, when it comes to savings, we've produced $114 billion of savings, including $20 billion of savings in the mid-year forecast. That makes a substantial difference.
Very good, Zach. That's what, without Albanese, we wouldn't know what not to do.
You heard it, $114 billion worth of savings. Sounds impressive, doesn't it? Well, it is the figure that the finance minister has been using, and she's the one who's supposed to be on top of all this stuff.
Found 114.
Speaking of train wrecks, this woman's got to be one of the biggest train wrecks in political history. Well, I mean, the whole party is really. It's the collection of the dumbest of the dumb, lying scumbags who haven't got the creative intelligence to lie their way out of this one.
Supposed to be on top of all this stuff.
Found $114 billion in savings. I know it rolls off the tongue, but that is...
Really?
You know, that is much more than any government that I can recall.
Rolls out of our wallet, I think is what you mean to say. It didn't roll off the tongue, rolls out of our wallet. Actually, it didn't even, it's like going to jail. It didn't even pass go. You rope it in and steal it before we even get a chance to look at it, because if the Australian population was asked to it got their wage and then said, now can you hand us the taxes? There would be none. Be a revolt. That's why they need to steal it before you get it.
Savings. I know it rolls off the tongue, but that is... you know, that is much more than any government that I can recall.
There it is again, $114 billion in savings. Let's see how that stacks up under scrutiny.
You said there's been $114 billion of savings across your budgets. Mm-hmm. Is that net savings or gross savings?
Well, it's savings and reprioritising. So we're saving and then essentially... to offset new priorities.
So you're saying that's net of spending decisions? You reduced expenditure by $114 billion?
Yeah, it's a gross figure.
So it's gross, right. What is the net figure?
I don't have that available.
Is it positive or negative?
Well, I just don't have that figure in front of me.
Are there savings
figure in front of me.
or are there not? Gallagher either has no idea what she's doing or she's determined not to level with the public about how she spends their money.
I have not claimed or overclaimed that achievement. That has been basically to support offsetting new spending and also those demand-driven programs which are not decisions of government but which have had a very significant impact on expenditure, on the expenditure side of the budget since we came to government.
But if you spend every dollar that you saved, it's not a save, is it? It's just spending it on something else.
Well, you know, that can be the way you twist it. I've found it...
Twisted.
Finding $114 billion in savings has been a big effort.
They haven't saved a cent. They've shifted $114 billion from one kind of spending to other spending. And then they've spent more than $30 billion extra on top of that. They haven't made savings. They've spent more. It's as simple as that, yet they spin the opposite. They try to fool the public, the very people whose money they're spending. And the more scrutiny they come under, the more criticism they cop, the more falsehoods they push out. Check this one.
Yesterday in the Senate, you said, and I quote, the highest spending government was the Howard government. What is the basis for this claim?
The Finance Minister was caught out again, yet again, clueless and pushing falsehoods.
If I've made an error, I'm happy to change that.
You mean if my research team did their job properly and put the right name on this? I mean, I was at the pub at the taxpayer expense here. You know, like I'm in Parliament. I'm supposed to be living at large. Now, I'm paying people a lot more than I earn to do my job for me, and they fucked up. So I'm going to have to pretend that it was me. I think that's what she meant to say. But well, let's go right ahead and listen to what the collective stupidity has to say.
We'll get the figures that I was relying on. Sorry, I've just been trying to get some advice. My comments yesterday, I do need to correct the record. My comments should have said the Morrison government, not the Howard government.
I love it. It was the Morrison government, which was, of course, you know, heading one of the biggest and most obvious lies in human history at the time. One that the Labor Party was more than happy to grasp at and go, let's spend, borrow, buy votes. Yeah, rightio. You know, accuse the Morrison government of giving you the money that you asked for through the state. Rightio.
They're not laughing with you, Minister. They're laughing at you. To suggest the Howard government was big spending is ludicrous. No one who understands the budget would try to run that line. And yeah, the Morrison government spent big in the pandemic. Labor urged it to spend even more at the time.
Thank you for cementing my point. But what we're also seeing is Sky News' Murdoch media. They're still calling it a pandemic. Asleep under the tree, I think.
But none of this matches the Albanese Labor government's record, spending wildly and unproductively, expanding government and condemning taxpayers to years of economic pain to come. And all the while showing us that they've got no idea.
That they certainly have. And what does that leave us to, ladies and gentlemen? Homebrew. Because I can't afford to pay the Labor tax on alcohol anymore, I have to brew my own just to have a quiet, relaxing drink. Well, we are fundamentally living in a form of prohibition where, the tax on basic, simple working man's pleasures, such as a beer at the end of a week, are now so insanely high that we've been priced out of the market. Even the cheap and nasty shit, is insanely expensive. course, you know, we're saving the hobos on the street. You know, that's the important thing. You know, those poor hobos. You know, like, I mean, they're priced out of the only thing that made that park bench comfortable. You know, those poor families sleeping in a tent. The only way they can sleep through the misery that is their existence and the constant burden of where's my next fucking dollar coming from is to drown it in sorrows. Sips to the nectar of the gods because, wow, it's the closest thing to a god we're going to see, isn't it? Certainly feels like that when you're surrounded by Satan. T2, I don't think you're going to play the bide. The bide? Dude, check your typing, please. Please. T2, I'd seen your email. I couldn't. I tried to download it. If you want to quickly come on, I sent you a link. You can explain what it is, and I can add. I will share this to Telegram. Is kind of the best I can do at this particular point. Sorry, I did mean to contact you this week, but things have been a little bit out there. I'll get on. I'll get onto it, buddy. I'll get onto it. You've got my phone number now too, so you can call me as well because you know, I am literally chaos. You know, it's just how I operate. It's order and structure for those who are in control. It doesn't work for me. I prefer random acts of chaos, you know, but in a good way, you know, like butterfly effect chaos. You know, I'm the butterfly flapping its wings. It's not my fault a volcano went off somewhere else. Sips. Or is it? Who freaking knows? All right, so Heidi, I did send you a link if you're up for it. If not, we can do something Sunday. I haven't done a Sunday show in a while, so that's an availability to you as well. Actually, I did notice that I should probably be fair here. That me also wanted to jump on and have a yarn about something, so I'll quickly send you a link to. Sorry, buddy, if you're watching. Jump in and get your two bobs in. I'm going to be brief today because I'm trying to power through this as quickly as I can. It's amazing how long it takes to get through just a handful of events in the world. But let's continue, shall we, as we get back into the world at large. So back to the, shocking state of satanic pedophilia in this world. And we did see satanic pedophiles being arrested in Australia just last week. And of course, going for the royal family this week, every Australian name we knew about in Jeffrey Epstein list so far, apparently. So, of course, I'm only just surface scratching here. Anybody who wants to dive a little bit deeper, feel free to email me with extra things that you find. If we work together as a team, we can make things a lot better, But don't send me a 4-hour fucking video and say, "Hey, buddy, watch this." No, send me a 4-hour video that says, "Hey, I watched this and I noted it this time, this time, this time, and this time. That happened then. This happened. Help a brother out, all right? You it's one of those things. Sit down and thanks, Michael, much appreciated that. When you're watching stuff, it's not a bad idea to either have a pen and a paper. If you're sitting at your computer, open up a text screen. Like most laptops have a HDMI port. You can actually open up and have a second screen. We can have your some sort of text document thing going, and you can take notes as you go, and then you can say, "Hey, I found this link to this, and these are the time index, these things, and you saved me a lot of time." That's how we can all help each other out. If you're not comfortable coming on, that's fair enough, but you're welcome to. If you want to reach out and say, "Hey, babe, I'll research the fuck out of this one. I've got this really sorted. It's all done. I've got the show ready to go. All you have to do is ask questions and let me speak." Happy to accommodate, because it's not all about me. I don't want it to be about me. It was never meant to be all about me. It's supposed to be about you, the people. Of course I get guests and things like that I feel people are going to respect and all, but I'd much rather the public step up, because they can't arrest us all. They'll have no minions to do their bidding. So start thinking about these things. It's pretty straightforward. So Kevin Dudd, Mr. Dudd himself, who's had his name mentioned and nothing specifically implied, although, Kevin Rudd has also asked if he can bring his wife and son. Would that be okay? it concerns me how often the Labor Party is happy to take their family near someone such as this. Fundamentally, we need to stick to the facts, because let's start with the final line. Rudd's office has said the references show attempts by mutual acquaintances to engineer an indoctrination that never actually happened. So mutual acquaintances, that's interesting, because he's saying, well, if I go, we all go. That's the way I'm reading this, which is beautiful. Let's go. Come on, bring it on. Tear the place down. No evidence of any direct contact between Jeffrey Epstein and either Dr. Rudd or his office. Really? Are you that bold? He's obviously that comment in the opening statement. Mutual acquaintances. I'll take you with me, motherfucker. If I go, we all go. Mr. Rudd seems to be saying perhaps, It is also said, has no reason to believe that he ever met with Jeffrey Epstein at any time, and has flagged possible legal action over any defamatory claims about a personal relationship. He seems pretty confident that so far nothing has been released that can actually grab him yet, let's say. And I will throw all my bags of money that I stole from the Australian taxpayer to fucking burn you at the stake. You know what would be really funny? If, like, the entire Australian population just said, Rudd's a pedophile and hung out. Hypothetically, Rudd is a pedophile and hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, and let's see him take the whole country to court. Does he have that much money? I don't know. How much did he get from Jeffrey Epstein fucking bribery? I don't know. Let's see. He's vehemently denied. Well, so did Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is also in a cell right about now, I believe. So anyway, Mr. Kevin Dudd is adamant that you got nothing. Now, of course, more Labor. Catherine Keating, the daughter of former Prime Minister Paul Keating. Interesting, 2 Labor Prime Ministers, isn't it? Has been linked to Epstein's social circle since the 2011 video surfaced of her leaving his New York home while then Prince Andrew stood in the doorway. The new documents add detail to that connection, including emails from prominent publicists. And I love the way they didn't put the little thing in there, the publicist. My mind went really dark there, but anyway, Peggy Siegel asking Epstein for Keating's email. It's amazing how something as simple as a little line can fuck things. But anyway, almost as much as Epstein and all his cohorts. But anyway, asking Epstein for Keating's email ahead of a meeting with Vanity Fair. Wow, the Vanity Smurf is here. Writing Edward Klein, saying Keating would attend and say great things about Andrew because she knows him, Andrew, well, and wants to make sure Ed writes positive things. Yes. We'll write positive things so long as you're in the darkness with us. I will let her do all the talking. Other emails reported in Australian coverage show Epstein sending Keating a note reading Andrew Forrest. Again, somebody seems to be slacking off a little bit with, proper use of the English language. I suck at reading and writing, I have to admit. I've never been very good at it at all. But it's simple things like that piss me off. Again, didn't even put Australian with a capital A. Fuck's sake. Anyway, Andrew Forrest, Australian iron ore. Perhaps they, copy and pasted it. Are we demonstrating that Epstein and Keating and all that are really bad at fundamental use of the English language? Is that what we're trying to go with here? I don't know. Apparently, to check whether she knew mining billionaire Andrew Forrest, Keating replied that Forrest was a friend or fiend, perhaps, and that she had spent a week in Dubai with him last week. And Epstein responded that a JP Morgan contact had described Forrest as great. Funny. Separate correspondence revealed reportedly also records Keating offering to bring her younger sister which would make it his younger daughter, perhaps, to a lunch with Epstein and filmmaker Woody Allen after Epstein told her that, sorry, we're referring to his, right. So Catherine Keating is going to bring her younger sister. Sorry, I'm getting this in context now. My bad. Here I was thinking the Prime Minister himself was selling his own daughter. No, his daughter is selling his younger sister, it would seem. Wonderful family. To filmmaker Woody Allen after Epstein told her the director liked pretty women. Wow. Could you think of a worse scenario to bring your younger sister? Makes you really wonder about the moral efficacy of Catherine Keating, that's for sure. She's going to bring her little sister into it. What kind of household were they raised in where this kind of thing is considered okay? There's another problem, But, who's this Andrew Forrest they keep referring to, also known as Twiggy? Twiggy Ramirez? Or Twiggy, as in Marilyn Manson's bass player. I don't know. Fortescue Metals Group founder Andrew Twiggy Forrest is mentioned only briefly and entirely in someone else's correspondence. In May 2011 email Keating received from Epstein, he wrote, Andrew Forrest, Australian iron ore. Again, it seems to be a lack of the ability to use, proper English. And even Australia doesn't get a capital letter, seemingly as a prompt about the Perth-based billionaire. As mentioned earlier, Keating replied that Forrest was a friend and that she had spent a week in Dubai with him the previous year. Wonder what she's really into. Before passing on that to JP Morgan contact that told Epstein Forrest was great. And all these big names, And again, it's kind of like all right, cool. While we're dealing over here, here's a whole bunch of new little drops for you guys to go and wonder about. Clive Palmer even made it. The United Australian Party founder. Mining billionaire, of course, first and foremost. Clive Palmer appears in a set of text messages between Epstein and former Trump advisor Steve Bannon. Sent around 2019 Australian federal election. In one exchange dated 20 May 2019, Bannon claims he had Palmer bankroll a major advertising push during the campaign, writing that he had Clive Palmer do the 60 million anti-China and anti-climate change ads. But of course, you come down here and he says, well, we were going to do that everywhere. And I've never spoken to any of these people. Go ahead and prove it, which is fundamentally what we always get from these kinds of people, Can we trust him? I don't freaking know, At the end of the day, I've kind of have a rough guideline for trying to figure out whether we should be dubious about people or not. And it goes something like this. Very rarely do rich people seem to obtain obscene amounts of wealth without stepping on everyone to get there. Just put that out there. World's run by the sickest of the sick, the greediest of the greed, the powerful of the powerful, those who crave power and money and wealth. So why would we trust any of them? Because they haven't put the right thing forward. Many a time have I possibly been able to acquire large amounts of wealth from selling out. I was never able to do it. The Epstein Files and NZ managers, models, and Kiwi billionaire. Wow. So, I mean, we didn't really get much out of Australia. Can we get much out of New Zealand? Billionaire Peter Thiel, Auckland University professor Brian Bolden, property managers Bryce and Karen Gordon are among the New Zealanders who have ties with the child sex offender, serial rapist, and human trafficker. That's interesting because, earlier, the mainstream media were generally associating him with a financier. This is a much different picture of this guy's character. Oh, man, that burp come through my nose. You should have felt that. Fuck me. It brought tears to my eyes. Oh. So, sorry, that really blew me off. Oh, strength. I need another beer. Sips. That burnt. So, anyway, Karen Gordon among the ties. So child sex offender, serial rapist, and human trafficker General Jeffrey Epstein versus financier. You'd be thinking you're talking about two completely different people. Oh, the spin-off. Oh, so this doesn't seem to be Murdoch Media. I guess that's why. Interesting. These connections were revealed when the U.S. Justice Department publicly released more than 3 million. Yeah, we know about that. The model, a 16-year-old New Zealand model who the spin-off has chosen not to name, was in Paris in 2015 with a fellow model when they met with a man named Daniel Sayed near the Champs Elysees. Syed appears to have been a key associate of Epstein's and invited them to one of his parties in New York. One of the girls followed up with Syed, sending him a link to her and her friends' modeling profiles. Interesting industry, isn't it? Syed forwarded the email to Epstein saying, "Hello, Jeffrey. What do you think about these models for New York?" Epstein apparently thought they looked too old, replying, "Most of these girls would have been good 5 years ago. You need to find new." Charming fellow. 16 years are too old. They want them younger than that. Wonderful world we live in. Jeffrey Epstein was obsessed with the novel Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, a critically acclaimed but deeply controversial book told from the perspective of a pedophile who falls in love with a young girl. Epstein displayed quotes from the book around his house. He ordered a vintage edition from Amazon, who owned a copy of the audiobook. Interesting. Fascinating stuff. The billionaire Peter Thiel, founder of PayPal, an early investor into Facebook, who controversially became a New Zealand citizen in 2011. Controversially became. 5 awkward questions and 10 peculiar facts. Where are we going to? We don't have a date? Oh, there it is. 25th of January, 2017. This handshake looks a bit weird, doesn't it? Anyone feeling a bit awkward about the way Trump's hand is over the top of his in both instances? Controversial Trump endorser and Silicon Valley billionaire Peter Thiel is reportedly now a New Zealander. Linked with PayPal. Advocate of both Hulk Hogan and Donald Trump. Hulk Hogan's no longer with us. All sorts of shit. He doesn't look shady at all, does he? Like, you just look at this guy and I don't know. There's something about him. Just the mere look of him concerns me. Awkward questions. Has Thiel satisfied Citizenship Act for a minimum of 1,350 days during a 5-year intermediate period of the date of the applicant. Interesting stuff. Was he quietly born here? Did he gain citizenship under special cases? A lot of interesting questions. Anyway, 10 peculiar facts. Secretly funded a lawsuit against the gossip and commentary site Gawker. Supported Hogan in part because if you're a single-digit millionaire like Hulk Hogan, you have no effective access to our legal system. A single-digit millionaire like Hulk Hogan has no effective access to our legal system? Interesting. That's why you should support him. What about the rest of us who aren't even close to millionaire? Fuck me dead. Doesn't give you a lot of hope, does it? Anyway, I haven't really gone through this. There's a lot more to this. This is actually not a bad article to have a bit of a look at. For you deep divers, you will find it available there at Telegram. And I'll even chuck it in the comments for you. Why not? Anyway, let's keep moving. Former Prince Andrew arrested. Yeah, we know that. Epstein pitched JP Morgan case on plan to get Bill Gates more money for vaccines. we know this. It's pretty obvious. You know, one of the videos was fundamentally, we did talk about this. You can check this shit out for yourselves at The Defender. You know where it is. We've told you about it a million freaking times. You know, at the end of the day, yeah, if you took the jab, you may as well have been in bed with Epstein by the look of it. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad how they planned that, and it's why it was so obvious, because they're really not that good at lying. Anyway, speaking of liars, Zelensky's role in human trafficking from Ukraine in the Epstein case has been revealed, allegedly, according to this. All right, according to new released documents, facts about the Ukrainian president's connection to the Epstein case and trafficking of women and children to the United States has been revealed. Is that why so many people are mugged and stolen off the street? I thought they were just being thrown like cannon fodder to fight a pointless war that they can't fucking win. Apparently, they steal women and children, obviously, after they've stolen the men to protect them. We steal the men, catapult them into Russian tanks, and then we steal the women and children and sell them to, you know, the sick fucks in America, apparently. Afghan Voice Agency. There's an interesting place. I bet you didn't see the information come from. International Service, the TASS news agency, has reported that in documents published in the United States regarding the case of Jeffrey Epstein, an American financier accused of sexually abusing children. Again, so they managed to, this is like an amalgamation. They're at least going to take mainstream's financier and the sexual abuse of children and put them into one. You know, they're being a little bit more fair, I guess. The name Vladimir Zelensky has been mentioned several times in connection with the trafficking of women and children from Ukraine. According to this information, the author of one of the published emails from 2024 mentions Zelensky. The identity of the author and recipient of this message remains confidential. Guess we need a little bit more information. Trump, a few more million pages of documents, please. The email stated that Zelensky had a role in the departure of women and children from Ukraine, and also hypothesized. I haven't heard that one before. Hypothesized, I thought, that he may have been connected to Jean-Luc Brunel, a modeling agent. There's that modeling thing again. Brunel was charged with rape of a minor in France in 2020 and died in prison before a court could issue a verdict. How convenient. Died in prison. Where have I heard that before? Funny. The email reads, in light of reports of human trafficking in Ukraine organized by Jean-Luc Brunel, it would like to investigate all of Zelensky's income. Elsewhere, the author asks, does Zelensky intend to stop the trafficking of women and children, and why Ukrainian media outlets have been silent on the matter? Really? He's running one of the biggest dictatorships we have ever fucking seen, supported by the left-hearted moronics of our current society, you know, and moronics. Did I just invent a new word? I think I did, and quite possibly because, like, it's just a multifaceted state of stupidity that is beyond comprehension. You know, the levels of fictional constructs that you have to create for yourself to justify this shit is mind-boggling. Anyway. Because that's what it is, you know, it's step by step. I justify this by doing this. I'm an asshole because of this, you know, it's fundamental basic psychology. According to the report, of course, we don't have that anymore. We have distorted psychology. So going to a psychologist is basically asking for a therapist from an ass rapist, you know, it's just nuts. Anyway, many of these items, or maybe it's nuggets, I don't know. Many of these items include excerpts from news articles that Epstein, I was about to say Einstein for there, but I don't know. Was he in the Epstein files? Who knows? There was probably another dude doing it back then. Exchanged with people on his contact list about Zelensky. Several documents are currently under review and are not available. So there's big questions about Zelensky, but again, you can see in this one, right, cool, we've given just enough for this to proceed, and now we've given just enough for the next phases of a whole bunch of questioning. So what we're really seeing here is a drip feed. This is going to go on for a long time, piece by piece, and it's been and the pawns are being set up. Everything's being played out, you know. I dare say that this stuff has been hung over the heads of so many sick fuck individuals, or perhaps even some just happened to be twisted, drugged, and convinced that it was a good idea to do these things at the time, found themselves filmed and gone, oh fuck, one bad drink. What did he put in it? Now I'm fucked. You know, instead of coming out going, hey, I was drugged and, you know, something went pear-shaped here, you know, and dobbing the guy in and potentially finding yourself dead, they go along with it. So but the big question, ladies and gentlemen, at what point do you go enough is enough? You know, I can see how people get drawn to the dark side. It doesn't take much, really. You know, I was contemplating it the other day, and I'm going to bring this video in from last week just so I can sort of scroll in, because I'm going to use a specific frame that come to me while I was contemplating this concept earlier. You know, for the time being, while I'm trying to find something, I'm going to bring this guy back in because I think it's very important. We did it last week, I know, but I'm also using this as a wonderful intermittent break.
This video will require you to lock in. Civilization was designed to replace humanity. And I'm not talking about politics, ideology, technology, greed, human failure, whatever you want, belief, human invention. I'm naming the pattern beneath it all because there is a pattern, a stable pattern in abstract space that is far older than humanity, older than culture, and older than gods. It does not live in organisms. Organisms fall into alignment with it. Wherever extraction can outrun regeneration and consequence can be delayed and abstraction can replace contact, the pattern will appear. And it's worn many bodies and it's wearing us now. Because the pattern has a historical body, and that body is called civilization. I'm just trying to tell you what it is. Civilization is not a neutral tool. It is not a container. It is not a servant. Civilization is a replacement engine. It is designed to replace humanity with function. Civilization was not created to serve humanity. Most of humanity was created to serve it. And you can see the pattern in the locust. A grasshopper is a local, green, limited, participatory animal. It eats, the land recovers. But when density crosses a threshold, something shifts. Serotonin rises. Contact accumulates. A switch flips. The grasshopper does not decide, it aligns. Its body darkens. Its appetite becomes endless. Limits dissolve. The land becomes stripped bare, and then the swarm dissolves. Not from evil, but from completion. And you can see it in ants, and in algal blooms, and in bacteria that poison their own world with oxygen. Life itself has entered this pattern before. This is not a moral failure. This is a structural possibility of reality. So humans did not invent this pattern. We became its most powerful host. We had abstraction, symbolic storage, future modeling, surplus energy, and distance from consequence. These were not sins, they were interfaces. And when agriculture crossed density thresholds, the pattern found a new mode, civilization. So at first, I'm going to show you how this even looks. I'm going to give you an example. At first, the world looks whole. The man is in the forest. The axe is movement. The tree falls and the forest remembers. And then a thought appears. This tree is not me. The tree becomes lumber. This is subject-object split, right? I'm just trying to put you on. The forest stops being a relationship and becomes a resource field. Nothing breaks immediately, and that's why it works. And then, once the split exists, it seeks completion. The river becomes water. The animal becomes meat. The land becomes property, and another human becomes labor. And guess what finally happens to the self? The self becomes useful, right? The split turns inward, right? So here's the pipeline, how it shows up in your life. You are born human, but you're converted into function. It always starts in stage one. You start with an identity and they turn it into a role. Someone asks you, who are you? But the answer is no longer I am. It becomes a job title, a school, a status. Your being becomes utility. Then stage two, the role becomes a performance. You must execute correctly. Metrics measure adequacy. Your existence becomes conditional. And then stage three comes in right on time. Performance becomes permission. Good performance grants resources. Poor performance withdraws them. Survival becomes earned. And then stage four hits like a truck. Permission becomes morality. Work becomes good. Rest becomes lazy. Productivity becomes virtue. Idleness becomes sin. And that morality reaches identity. I am what I produce. The conversion is complete. Human instrumentality achieved. No external oppressor required. You now self-enforce your own instrumentalization. You are your own warden. And you can't even think outside of it. I want you to understand you cannot think outside of civilization. Because civilization installed the thinking apparatus. Your categories were not discovered. Race was not discovered. Race was assigned. Class was assigned. Wealth was assigned. Gender roles were assigned. Status was assigned. Merit was assigned. Success and failure were made the fuck up. I'm trying to put you on. All civilizational extractions, all of them, Even your own name was designed deciding. Your naming conventions were standardized by Romans 2 full civilizational cycles before you existed. Your calendar, your week, your hours, your inheritance structures, your educational model, your legal personhood, all of them are preloaded. All of them. You do not stand in civilization. Civilization stands in you. And that's why escape fantasies fail, because you cannot leave the water using the concepts water taught you. And this is the mistake people think in. Gods can fix this. God can fix this. No God has ever addressed this situation because they think gods stand outside the pattern, like gods oppose the pattern, like gods interrupted. They don't. Every god that has appeared inside history has either emerged already aligned to the pattern or been absorbed, inverted, or repurposed. Let's go through them. Yahweh is a civilizational God from the start. Yahweh was never a threat to civilization. Yahweh is a God of law, land, borders, lineage, obedience, continuity, and inheritance. A God of accounting, a God of command, a God compatible with empire. And that's why Yahweh was not crucified, because Yahweh already belongs to the pattern. Let's talk about the real God going on here. Abba, right? That's the interruption that had to die, because Abba was not Yahweh. Jesus never said the word Yahweh. Abba was presence without a ledger, forgiveness without a transaction, worth without productivity, life without a hierarchy, and love without a boundary, and rest with no permission. Abba dissolved every role. Abba collapsed moral accounting. Abba returned people to participation, and that cannot be absorbed. So it was executed. They did not crucify God, they crucified the interruption. That's all they did. They didn't kill God, they killed the Father. And then civilization performed its most elegant move ever. It absorbed the corpse and then built a church around it. Let's go to Buddha. Let's go to Buddha right quick, right? Dissolution. That's all it was. Dissolution got contained because Buddha names the trap: desire, attachment, identity. So civilization doesn't fight Buddha, it domesticates him. Meditation becomes optimization. Mindfulness becomes stress control. Liberation becomes private wellness. And awakening was neutralized. Let's go to Allah, because Allah appears transcendent, but structurally, Allah is an absolute authority requiring total submission, an eternal law, and continuity without interruption. A God perfectly compatible with civilizational order. Absorption was seamless. It was seamlessly absorbed into civilization. We can even have fun with it. Let's talk about Zeus, because Zeus was never outside the pattern. None of them were. The Olympus mountain was an empire mythologized. Hierarchy, domination, violence normalized. Zeus did not fall. He became unnecessary. The state absorbed his function. So every god that is ever born made a choice.
And that's kind of where I was getting at a little bit earlier. Is it all fits the same pattern, doesn't it? The only gods that don't fit that pattern don't seem to last long. Anybody who does not fit the pattern of control, dominance, greed, all bad. Anyway, we've seen the whole thing in its entirety last week, and I'm pretty sure I put it on Telegram, so I'm going to bring this down. And let's come back to the point now that I found it. So what I'm getting at, again, it's the perception hole. You know, I'm going to bring this up.
On a different survival path.
All right, now we don't want to get into it. I just want to use the images, right? So I kind of touched on it last time, but I had a little bit more time to think about it this week, and I thought to myself, well, what do I really mean when I said last week we got the left and the right? Well, outside of the obvious, on the left is this alien-looking fucking thing who's clearly struggling to live with a tarnished atmosphere. We have left hard fear right here, right now, the embodiment of it, quite accurately displayed. You know, they've destroyed their planet. Climate change. Dun-dun. Henny pennies running amok. The sky is fucking falling. And here we have the vision of the future. Fear. Fear is the control. Fear is the motivator. Now you look to the right and go, well, that doesn't look very fearful, you know, unless you're being bashed by it. Perhaps we're looking at this as an ideological construct. This is what we seek to be. You know, we could perhaps start to go, oh, we're going eugenics. We're looking about perfection, the astounding nature of the human body. Are we Borg? Are we Nazi? We're not sure. But at the end of the day, it looks pretty beautiful, and I aspire to be this. But where's the fear factor? It is the love in it. It is the desire to maintain that. It is that I don't want this to not be my future. There's your fear. Yoda openly states, let go of that which you fear to lose, just as much as what you fear the future may be on the left. You know, both these concepts, both these control mechanisms are easy to manipulate. You know, you must let go of what controls you. You must, and it is your decision what controls you, because it's the ideologies that you apply to it. And that works really well off the back of Justin Scott there. Anyway, let's get back to it. So, people believe this guy's good, do they? Keep believing. Keep believing. Epstein files boost cannibalism claims, according to belief systems. Claims with gruesome McDonald's burger allegation. Apparently, here's the truth. So, now, I don't know about you, but I've heard that McDonald's has been hiding the bodies of dead people, men, women, children, babies, aborted fetuses, all these sorts of things. These are claims that are made. I'm not saying it's true any more than I'm saying it's not, because at the end of the day, without the actual evidence to provide proof, I don't know. But is it possible? Well, McDonald's has close associating with children's hospitals, doesn't it? It makes it an opening, a wonderful place for disgusting, reputable behavior. You know, it's astounding how often you find pedophiles working as, anybody fill in the blank? Fill in the blank. There's probably a few. I want to see them in the comments. Where do you find pedophiles working? Where do we like to find? Well, not where do we like them, but where are they? You know, much like if you were a demon, I would hide in a church. Well, if you're a demon, if you're the pedophile variety of demon, where do you hide? Let's have a look, shall we? I actually have a video that sort of combines the concept of how sick the world can be.
And father from the Mornington Peninsula has just been jailed in the county court after being caught possessing child abuse material. It'll be 3 months in prison for Richard Barron, his own counsel describing his offending as abhorrent and vile. The 50-year-old is convicted of possessing 2 child abuse videos of girls as young as 10.
This man receives 2 months behind bars. At the very same time, a man who said something mean about Jewish people receives a year behind bars.
Now, why is that? Why do you think that is? Why is offending a religion so devastating compared to somebody who's, got materials of a very disturbing nature and has been trusted with high authority within a childhood institute such as a school? Why is that? Who nailed who to a fucking cross because they chose not to be a part of the system? What the system is, you can use your fucking imagination and you can go to whatever level you're ready to go. That's up to you. Now, I could let old mate keep going because he makes a wonderful point, and I'm sure you've seen him around. He does his thing. But at the end of the day, he doesn't go far enough as far as I'm concerned. But let's bring it back. McDonald's and the gruesome burger allegations. Fresh waves of online speculation are linking newly discussed Epstein files to gruesome cannibalism allegations involving McDonald's burgers, fueling viral debate across TikTok and X. Social media users claim the court documents contain disturbing references that suggest human flesh may have been used in fast food products. However, there is no verified evidence supporting these allegations, and that's the key. We need that verified evidence. So we're waiting for whistleblowers. We're waiting for, I guess, the government, the gatekeepers of this information, the people who've been keeping this away from us all this time, to just drip feed us a little bit more, please. Can I be the guinea pig at that? I don't know what you call it, that bottle thing with a little metal thing, and they just come out and they lick at it, and then the guinea pig gets a bit of water. It's kind of like what we're at with the table scraps from satanic pedophiles. Where are we at? I mean, would you put anything past these people at this point? The conspiracy theory has gained traction in recent days. This conspiracy theory has been kicking around for a long fucking time. Let me tell you that. With short form videos and reposted screenshots attracting significant engagement. Yeah, because people are actually willing to believe that it's possible now. And I think that's one of the most important things, especially when it comes down to, doing the What is the Power of Belief podcast. That concept is very important. It's not only the power of belief that restricts your ability to see, it's also has the capacity to open up what you can see. And that is your personal choice. That's why spirituality is your own personal journey. It comes down to what you're willing to accept. It comes down to what you're willing to see. And it's whether it's in front of you or not. Man, there's a beer bottle in front of you. Do you see it? Are you sure? Are you willing to accept it had beer in it, or did I just piss in it? Or have I just been filling this up with flavored water to make it look like I drink? You know, what do you believe? What is true? If I tell you, hey, that's my homebrew, do you believe me? And why should you? What possible proof do you have other than the coaster stuck to the bottom of my cup? Sips. Nothing like an irrelevant detail to make you think. Why did he point that out? Well, because it was funny. Or was I saying something else about what is underneath? Ooh, doo, 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 doo. Wrap your brain around that. The conspiracy theory has gained traction, apparently. Yeah, I wonder why. In short form videos, we've done that bit. All right, suppose emails from Epstein's files and attempt to connect them to McDonald's supply chains. The claims remain unsubstantiated. Sorry, that's I fumbled with my words. Actually, I meant to say earlier something else. It escaped me while I was I sent intermittence and I wanted to say intermission. Apologies. These things happen. According to circulating TikTok talks, the alleged email in the Epstein documents refers to a group of tricking people into consuming human flesh. So we've never been tricked to accept anything before, have we? We were never tricked to go down and play Russian roulette with a vaccine, perhaps, or an alleged vaccine might be a better term for it, or an alleged bloody medical procedure, an alleged gene therapy, perhaps. Some posts then think this claim to McDonald's burgers suggests that the volume of beef used globally by the fast food chain does not match agricultural production figures. Sorry, I just had to voice my concerns. Other users have pointed to Ronald McDonald's House charities in an attempt to create further suspicion. Well, we just found a pedo in a school and he was running the joint. He was the principal. Yep, I'm being the clown in a fucking circus show. Anyway, viral content also references isolated anecdotes of foreign objects reportedly found in Bergens and uses clips from The Simpsons to symbolic hints, which is funny because we did the timeline thing and The Simpsons thing last week, you know, or was that the week before? I can't remember, you know, of course they're going to grab, some clips from people who are, doing whatever. I'm not even going to look at it, What the Epstein court documents actually show, the Epstein files refer to court filings, dispositions, and evidence connected to investigations into Jeffrey Epstein's criminal conduct. Various document releases in recent years have sparked intense online analysis, with social media users frequently dissecting names and passages. However, reputable reporting on the Epstein court documents has not identified any credible references to cannibalism, human meat, or links to McDonald's food production. Legal experts have repeatedly cautioned that partial excerpts from court records can be misinterpreted and taken out of context. Similar to the way the government usually takes sentences out of context in order for, to manipulate their own point of view. And this is one of those things I would suggest people be very careful with, because it's very easy to take one piece of information out of context, because I've seen the mainstream media do it to try and cover their own fuck ups when they accuse Troy Thompson of being blackballed, for example. And in order to cover themselves, they take a little excerpt of what I say, which was something to the effect of, faith in the science is the dumbest thing you could possibly have because you're supposed to question science. Of course, they take out the supposed to question science. Trust the science is stupid, is what they try to fucking portray, by taking a sentence out of context. It's the oldest trick in the fucking book. But do we need to do that? No, we can speculate. We can go, well, look, I don't really believe this shit. Personally, I feel sick going near McDonald's. Now, that energy transfer, that being close to that place makes me feel sick, is enough for me to go, don't go there. You know, why? I want to know. I would like to know. We need some more Epstein documents, perhaps. You know, we need some more fucking real policing, some real ASIO, some real military. You know what? Some real actual protection that we fucking paid for. Point again made. You know, of course, they have all these food safety standards, but we know safety standards are a load of shit. I can sum this whole thing up really quickly. Safety standards, we put them in place. Backdoor to cash fund. Done. Labor government, example. Social media and the spread of conspiracy theories. You mean like the Epstein stuff, like Prince Andrew now being arrested, like vaccine killing people, like media lied, like the list goes on. So, you know, at the end of the day, all we can really ascertain is we do have some speculative considerations to make. And I would not trust this corporation any more than I would trust any of the others based on the same principle of acquisition of wealth. They didn't get that far by being nice people. Point in case. Oh, safe and effective. JP Morgan, Gates, Epstein pipeline, donor advised funds, vaccine finance, and architecture to pre-positioned profit. Part 1 of 4. Go for your life. I'll send you the link. Go for your life. You can dive down there if you feel. I know where that's going. Don't really need to go too deep into this because, shit, we've been looking at it for 5 fucking years. Are we going to be surprised? Hell no. Because those conspiracy theorists are always wrong. Speaking of the biggest lies and fucking shit, you know, I never really bought into the fact that Michael Jackson was really that bad of a dude. Messed up. Fuck yeah. The world he must have grown up in, you can only imagine. But it seems to be, according to, you know, this Venemara Mathua, just yesterday, or I'm sorry, 16th, I lost a few days there, on the 16th of February, how Michael Jackson protected children from the likes of Jeffrey Epstein and the rest of the sick fucks in Hollywood and the various entertainment industries, such as modeling agencies and so forth. What is the oldest trick in the book? That's right. Project. Let's accuse him of everything that they themselves are doing. That's what they've done, you know, and that's what I kind of always felt. I mean, the guy looked like death warmed up pretty. I mean, just look at what he did to his own face. You can imagine the level of realization and insanity brought forth from that comprehension. It's written on his face. You know, it's a shame he's not here with us. I personally, and this is just a theory, I believe he was intentionally knocked off because he may have been able to release this information and facts about these things a lot earlier. Which is, but I personally, you know, think it's very interesting that, you know, the guy that happened to be hired just a few months before his passing happened to be P. Diddy's security guy as well. Interesting. Very good at covering up incidences, perhaps. You know, was that his unique qualification for why P. Diddy wanted him? Just an observation. I'm not saying it's a truth or a fact or anything. It's just an observation, one that anybody with half a brain could make. Anyway, late pop star Michael Jackson, who passed away in 2009, coincidentally on the same day as Farrah Fawcett, I think her name is, you know, the wonderful star of the Cannonball Run, who I think was far more easier on the eye than Michael Jackson myself, but that's my personal prejudice, I guess, you know, my personal choice even, you know, one might say. The Epstein files related to the sexual offender Jeffrey, unfortunately, we do not have the man to portray his side of the story, which is very important, you know, any longer, but he did try to clarify when he was with us, and there is a lot more to this mess than what meets the eye. Look out, Transformers, more than meets the eye. All you need to know about the Neverland Ranch. Mark, bad timing, mate. The Neverland Ranch was the home and private amusement park of Michael Jackson. When you got that much money, why the fuck not? But there was more to it than just amusement. A report that has surfaced on social media says that the Jackson, that's an interesting use of the term, used the Neverland Island to protect and shield children from what they call the industry regime and sexual predators. You think the poor bloke may have been victim of it himself? Look at the guy. Normal people don't do this. What makes you do this? Sick fucks like him. It's a short, it's brief, but it's direct and it's to the point. People need to step outside themselves from time to time, I think. And what we really need to comprehend is the victims here. As much as we rejoice that evil is finally getting its day, that it's hidden in the dark, like the vile, I can't even think of a good analogy. We'll just call them demons for now. It's the best thing I can come up with. These vile demons are finally having a light shined on them. But what we really need to consider, I think, is the human race, is the cost. For how long has this been going on? How many poor people have suffered? And it's not just those who have actually experienced it themselves. From the obvious abuse in that interaction in that moment, but then the attempt to seek help and find none. I look at the work, my attempt to try and seek help from having a bad back from working. You get nothing from a simple injury. Imagine what lengths they go to. I mean, obviously, people just don't want to pay because we're an insurance company. We take money, we don't give. That's my current experience. But that's a simple one and an easy one to see. Now, take that onto a level where they are desperate to protect, destroy, discriminate, and hold on to their power industry. What lengths will they go to? Leave a man crippled and not give a shit is one thing. But to absolutely destroy them and then continue to fucking destroy them and murder and kill and this is a sick fucking world, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very sick fucking world where they make people who have tried to do the right thing look like scum. Where they prop up on pedestals pieces of shit, the worst of the worst, and try and make you think that they're good people. It's one of those interesting observations, that was made by a family member. I'll just leave it at that. That every time, watch your movies, watch TV shows. How many times do they use their left hand when they write? Why is it actors always use the left hand? Why is it that in the dark realms of the religious construct, thou shalt not use thine left hand? Is there something to that? Because let's face it, Hollywood is a very dark place, isn't it? Horrible things happen there. Look at that guy's face. Look at that face. This guy's kind of smirking and smiling in a very creepy, disgusting, pedophile sort of way with nothing. He's obviously wearing only a fucking hoodie. There's no shirt unless it's a singlet or something underneath. Oh, mate, he's dressed up and he looks like he was just fucking awakened from a grave. Think about the world we've been living in. And we should be, why are we rejoicing? We shouldn't be. We should be saddened. We should be very sick. We should feel very sick for all the poor people that have had to suffer and those who are still suffering. And those who are going to have to continue to suffer because somebody has to come forth and bring evidence. Somebody has to actually shape up to this shit and have the courage to do it. I've seen it. I've been there and I've done it. Anyway, figure 03. Let's move on. The future. Efficiency surge, 400%. Efficiency surge at BMW plant. Robotics. Who gives a shit about all you people? We've been shitting on you. We've been treating you like crap. You're all just nothing more than rape victims for us to utilize at our earliest convenience. Obviously the illusion must be kept. That's important. Breaking it is obviously a problem. But anyway, they're onto it. They're worried, and they've got their new worker drones ready to go. BMW develop, I believe this company got rich from World War II profits, didn't they? BMW, weren't they putting fucking engines in Nazi fucking vehicles? I don't know. Just a thought. Did they? Did they not? You tell me. Figure AI announces a game-changing development in its Figure 03 humanoid robot at a BMW manufacturing facility where early trials reveal a staggering 400% surge in operational efficiency for key assembly tasks. Now, given the time and effort and that's gone into this, one might think that perhaps some people with access to knowledge might have actually considered that, there's going to be a huge fucking uprising. These fuckers are about to wake up. We're reading the tea leaves. We're looking at the stars and the signs, perhaps, whatever occult methods. And occult just means hidden, by the way. It doesn't mean deep and dark and we should be worshipping Satan. Occult literally means hidden. Occult practices they've engaged in to read said tea leaves have thought, hang on, we need to get rid of as many of these humans as we can. But they build everything for us and they service things. And for God damn it, my grandfather did nothing. He sat around and got paid a shitload to do nothing. I'm going to do it too. I want my slaves. I want my worker drones. Well, we better build some. Let's get our other worker drones who are about to become redundant to build our new ones. Look out, here it comes. Task mastery unleashed. Figure 03 redefines factory workflows. There's your key. With human-like dexterity. Effortless handling tools, components, and repetitive maneuvers. I'm sorry, I've done the repetitive task thing, and I couldn't think of a more pointless existence if my life depended on it. I tried. I've got a list of shit jobs that I'm not even going to bore you with, and they all suck. Why? That statement, repetitive maneuvers, hence bad back. Fuck you, thank you, society. That once bottlenecked lines. Bottlenecked lines, don't worry about the fucking harm to humanity. Who gives a fuck? We rape and pillage those people. It's redesigned hands grip, delicate electronics or heavy fixtures with pinpoint control, adapting on the fly of variations to part tolerances. Upgraded audio systems enable real-time voice commands from supervisors. Oi, dickhead, what are you doing? Wonder if he speaks fucking yobbo, They'll have to be provided an adequate linguistic program so they understand, oi, fuckhead, what are you doing? Cunt, mate, what? They're going to have to translate these complex diagrammatic constructs from the Australian English dialect. I love the way I bounce from one concept to another. Anyway, thanks for living in this world with me. It's been a wonderful journey. Sips. Fostering fluid human robot calibration. What, they can piss their pants? I don't know. Maybe that's for the Epstein model. Wireless inductive charging keeps units operational during minimal downtime, ensuring non-stop productivity surges that directly fuel BMW's output gains. This capability turns static assembly stations into dynamic, effective powerhouses. Have a look at the future. All you guys who revel in your shit jobs. And I mean, look, there's people out there. I get it. I've come across people who, I've been here for 40 years and I'm happy being here for 40 years and they're pissed off at the world and they can see the world for what it is, but they can somehow stay in a shit job for 40 years. I don't get it. I have, Mork from Orc, Mork calling Orson dreams, where I'm explaining to something, how the fuck do these people exist like this? Well, thankfully, robots are coming to save us from menial tasks, but what does that leave the human race for? Well, let's keep looking. Watch, forget Spider-Man. There's a robot out there with 6 arms. Here's what it's designed to do. Yoga. Medea, I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm shit. Like I've said, I'm shit. Unless I've heard it, I don't know. Has launched its new humanoid robot called Miro U at an event in Guangzhou, China. And it's the world's first humanoid robot with a 6-arm wheel leg design. Robot is made for complex industrial work and for improving factory automation. You damn fucking humans, we've been trying to program you for thousands of fucking years and you just don't get it. Doesn't matter what language I speak to you in, doesn't matter whether it's with hieroglyphs or squiggly lines, and you just don't seem to understand how to be a good worker drone. We've tried vaccines to turn you into autonomous beings, hence perhaps something like, can you think of a mental condition caused perhaps by heavy vaccination? You can use your imagination, surely. I have faith in you to figure it out. The new model will soon join the existing setup to boost efficiency even more, because it's all about efficiency, and you humans have just not been efficient enough. I'm sorry. Medea created the full technological stack in-house and aims to use Miro U for multitasking in factories. And we've been trying to teach you multitasking, and I just can't help the fact that sorry, humans, you just keep failing. Because when we start teaching you multitasking, you start to realize there's more pigeonholes than just one, and you start connecting dots, and you start to see things. You start to realize, hang on, this is all facade. Why are we doing this? Why? Because we need to create our own impending doom. Now, I kind of look at that, and I'm just going to take you on a tangent here. Is that one? Yeah, seems to be a few extra arms. Just a thought. Vishnu. Just popped into my head. These things happen. Was Vishnu really a god, or was Vishnu a robot too? I don't know. What is real? Underwater 3D printing may reshape maritime concrete construction. Now, I was watching something not long ago about pyramids. Location is, you're thinking fucking Egypt, wrong. There's pyramids everywhere. They're all over the fucking planet. Like, seriously, like the idea that Egypt is the only place that has pyramids is about as intelligent as Epstein was a good guy. Sorry, they're all over the place, but I can't remember exactly which region. I think it was somewhere in Europe, and this particular one had a shitload of concrete in it, and they tested the concrete, and they discovered that the concrete was of a higher grade than we can make now. How is a primitive pyramid buried under a fucking mountain of debris, we'll call it plant life growth, perhaps, got better grade concrete than what we can make anyway? But now, indisputably, group of Cornell researchers is developing a way to bring the technology to the ocean by 3D printing concrete underwater, which is going to obviously facilitate that video I showed a little while ago about China building cities under the sea. Look out. The idea of Atlantean existence is becoming more and more real. So technology is developing in a very scary way. I'd like to think that it can be used for the benefit of all mankind, but the problem is the people who are in control of the system right now don't care about you. They never fucking have. But it's okay. If you find these things and everything that I've talked about disturbing, or you know what, perhaps you yourself are on the Epstein files, and you need to erase any information so that you don't get caught, or perhaps you don't dump others into the mix. We have Lexonomy here to tell us about the memory erasing clinics, the new luxury of starting over. Ever played the game Sims? I found it interesting that the game Sims, which is a simulated life existence for those of you who don't know, where you create a character or a family, so be it, and then you interact and play that character out, is actually used in scientific studies to contemplate the idea of I've gone blank. You know what I mean? Fictional reality. We live in a fictional reality. This could be a simulation theory. There I was going. Sorry. So, but it's all right. We've cracked the code. We can now erase your memories. Hey, do you need to cover up files? Do you need to pretend that you weren't friends with Epstein? Hey, we'll remove that from your memory completely. Or perhaps, are you so sad? Are you so depressed? Are you so sick of your personal existence? Let's get rid of all the things that make you sad. We can make you a happy, productive fucking slave drone. Just wait. And while we're at it, we can recall this, total recall, and add in new memories, no doubt. This is what they're playing with. In recent years, the concept of memory erasing clinics has been making waves in the medical and technological communities. Anybody else heard of these waves? Personally, I'm not inspired. The idea of being able to start over, free from the burdens of painful memories, is a tantalizing one, until you suddenly come across people who remember you for who you used to be and still don't give a shit. This is a concept that has been played out in multiple science fiction stories. I've seen it in Babylon 5. I've seen it in Star Trek. Obviously, Total Recall, big one. Fucking with the human mind. My God. I couldn't think of anything more scary. This is exactly the reason I don't go anywhere near people who fuck with your head. I don't trust psychologists. I don't trust psychology. I don't trust people who think they can hypnotize you. They probably can. That's what scares me, that they might actually be able to do it, right? These fuckers have come up with a whole new fucking level of this shit. With advancements in neuroscience and technology, this luxury, isn't it wonderful? It's like a fucking sports car, is now becoming a reality, and it's being marketed as a high-end service for those who can afford it. That's right. All you Jeffrey Epstein fucking rapists and convicted pedophile scumbags, we can erase that memory. You can now stand on the court, put your hand on a fucking Bible or whatever bullshit fucking story you like and swear to it and say, I have no idea. Don't know what you're talking about. And you could be the ultimate Dan Andrews. I don't recall. Here we go. We've got it all sorted right here. The science behind memory erasure. The science behind memory erasure is complex and multifaceted. Don't you feel stupid already? I'm so glad they're here to help us. It involves a deep understanding of the neural mechanics that underlie memory formation and storage, which you don't have. It's all right. We'll pull out the pigeonhole for you. As well as the development of sophisticated technologies for manipulating these mechanisms. More fancy words so you get confused. Researchers have identified several key brain regions that are involved in memory processing. How many brains did they carve up to do this? Anybody seen the movie From Hell? Highly recommended if you haven't. Possibly the best explanation for Jack the Ripper I've ever seen, and it makes so much sense. I'm pretty confident that's why the movie wasn't all that popular. I actually played this for people who I thought were on the level, and they told me it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I'm never listening to you again. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I showed you too much truth. Through fiction, nonetheless. Anyway. All right. So all the hippocampus, the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, we know about these things through acts such as lobotomy. See From Hell. By targeting these regions was, you know what? I have to confess, one of the doctors that was big on lobotomy was a Dr. Batty. No relation. By targeting these regions with specific therapies and interventions, clinicians can help to eliminate unwanted memories and reduce the negative impacts on a person's life. Now, let's contemplate existence as a spirituality. We're here to learn lessons for whatever reason, or we're supposed to here to jump through loopholes and do whatever. We have technology intervening in your ability to learn from your mistakes. You have technology intervening so that you can maintain the fictitious realm. It's like I've believed in Islam all my life, and I've suddenly come across information that proves that everything I thought was a complete load of shit. Can you please put me back in the matrix and release that and remove that one piece of information? I'm a complete fucking leftard who believes in climate change. I think the world is going to end because of mankind. I've recently been doing research and realized I've been wrong all my life. I can't live with the fact that I'm a complete fuck up and I've been living with a lie all this time. Can you please erase that point that I realized? Hi, I decided not to take the COVID jab and nobody loves me anymore, and I can't deal with the fact that my family hate me. Can you please erase it? How's that going to fix it? Because your family start remembering. Everybody else remembers. This is the problem with this shit. You can take the memory away, but you're just going to create more confusion because sooner or later you're going to have to confront that shit. That's the reality of this shit. It's fucking, doesn't matter what story I put in front of you. One way or the other, that will come around again. This is retarded. The only benefit I can see for such technological development is to silence people. This is a weapon. And they're wrapping it up as a luxury sign. Oh, reduces the symptoms of PTSD and anxiety disorders. Well, you're going to erase a soldier's entire fucking life because he was silly enough to think he was going to save humanity by serving a corrupt, evil regime, otherwise known as the government, going off to kill other people who were serving their corrupt, evil regime, who were serving their religion, blah, 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 blah. Insert fictional concept or reality concept even more, we'll just get rid of your life. So, I mean, how does this help the soldier, for instance, with post-traumatic stress and anxiety disorders who signed up at the age of 18, lived all the way to fucking 40. He's now 45, spent the last 5 years in absolute mental hell because of the things he was asked to do by a government who doesn't give a shit, didn't pay him properly, still doesn't fucking care, and cast him back into society. Oh, you know what? We'll just erase your entire fucking memory. What are you going to do? Then erase everything else in his existence, drop him in another suburb in another part of the country, invent a whole new life for him? And tell him that he's been living in a coma like something out of Men in Black 2. What the fuck? This is scary shit, ladies and gentlemen, because that's what they want to do to people who don't fit. It's easier. Well, if we can't, well, we need to keep some of them. We've got to erase all these inconvenient thoughts they have. Thought police. And now to the weather. China's world first megawatt level windmill airship rises 6,560 feet. Feeds grid. Feeds grid, hey? Maybe take that D off and put an N. Feeds a grid. The helium-lifted S2000 system uses high-altitude winds and a ducted design with 12 turbines to reach a rated capacity of up to 3 megawatts. Now, this is where European Western societies' tax dollars have gone. Well, we're buying inefficient, piece of shit, outdated technologies like the bullshit wind farms that fall apart, catch fire, and do all sorts of other useless things like not make electricity. Solar panels, which don't work at night or in large storms, cloud cover, shit, we're fucked. And China's been taking all that money that we've been giving them by buying useless, pointless, outdated, fucked up technologies that never worked in the first place on a pipe dream. Quick, I think I need a memory erasure. let's just move to the future. Beijing has now developed maiden flight sends power from the sky to the grid. During the trial, the system climbed steadily to an altitude of about 6,560 feet and generated 385 kilowatt hours of electricity that was fed directly into the local grid. The test marked the first real-world demonstration of power generation for the S-2000 floating airborne wind energy system, also known as SAWES. Well, that rolls off the tongue about as well as a fucking Labor Party lie. Sips. Visually, the platform resembles a fantasy-style airship. I'm so glad they're willing to paint fucking beautiful pictures for what looks like, I don't know, the Hindenburg to me. It's a modern Hindenburg, It seems to be well tethered, so what's holding it down, and what happens when the tethering breaks? Personally, I see a giant fucking God knows what ready to crash into my house. It's like the Chinese neighbors I spoke of last week, chopping down a tree. Little old Asian 80 holding a rope to a fucking tree miles in the fucking air, while little old mates there soaring at the bottom. Yeah, it seems like a good idea. Can't wait for this one to fail. Visually, the platform resembles a fantasy-style airship featuring a large floating envelope. I guess it's delivering me things because it's an envelope, and an integrated power generating structure. Can we say fuck all with lovely words? The system measures about 197 pointless dimensions. According to the Global Times, the platform took around 30 minutes to ascend during the Yibin test. Yeah, this is all pointless because you haven't analyzed anything that could go wrong. Let's quickly skim. So they're targeting two main cases. One is off-grid settings with border outposts, where it can serve as relatively stable conventional energy source. So nothing says secret military base in this particular case, like a big floating fucking power engine. Yeah, very practical. The other is a complement traditional ground-based wind power systems, which have never caught fire, have never had any problems. That's fine. Creating a three-dimensional approach to energy supply. Three-dimensional approach to energy supply? What, have we been living in a 2D world this whole time? I guess most people do that because they still think of the fucking Star of David in 2 dimensions. But, look, let's face it. We live in a world full of fuckwits who will believe anything. Duct design boosts efficiency and output. Research cites by Tide News notes that wind energies increase with the cube of wind speed. No shit. This means even modest increases in wind speed at higher altitudes can lead to several times more power generation compared to ground-based turbines. And what happens when a fucking cyclone comes through? Sorry, I live in North Queensland. There's a little bit more reality, I guess, here than there is in some other places in the world. Fucking cyclones. By God. Production plans and expert views on the road. I don't think I can bear to read anymore, to be honest. And we should keep moving because we are well and truly overestimated time. In other news with weather, hey, did you know there's a space weather live? Isn't that interesting? I'm going to wrap through this really as quick as I can. You can check out the solar wind. You can check out the density. You can check out the magnetosphere. Our elements here of the red line and the blue line. Go for your life. I'm not going to get into it too in-depthly because I've run out of time. I might deal with this. Even check out the moon phase, which is somehow relevant to weather. But it's okay. Climate change is only caused by man. So these are websites that you're able to see. You're able to see right now the KP index. What the fuck is that? More data. Let's have a look. This is the planetary K index for the NOAASRWPC. Don't you love it when they use letters instead of fucking words? It's just so helpful. This is the preliminary KP index that is updated every minute by the alphabet soup with estimate of a measured KP, more alphabet, for the past 3 hours. Isn't it interesting they avoid what the fuck it is the whole bloody time? Honestly, I haven't had time to look. I did intend to try and decipher this crap, but fundamentally, it's all there. That's not really what I'm interested in right now. What I am interested in is what's at spaceweather.com. Now, elements we need to consider. We have had a Saturn and Neptune conjunction. All right. That may mean something to some people. It may mean nothing to others. Now, live space, live planet. Position. Was is she? Yeah, no, sorry, I remember to spell. Planets today? No, that's not it. That's not the right one. Sky Life. That's what I want. All right. So, as you can see, we have the solar system. Yeah, it's all a little bit different now. Oh my god. Hit the wrong buttons. Gotta love that shit. Here we are. All right, cool. Now, I don't get my time to go backwards again. It was more relevant when I looked at it. So you can see there's alignment there. Still slightly off, but we are also in line with it. So there is an alignment, roughly. You know, you can. It actually happened a couple of days ago. At the same time, we're seeing solar winds. We're seeing all sorts of fucking shit going on. Very relevant because, as I said earlier, what binds all this together? Well, as above, so below. There are some elements I believe we can take from these ridiculous old school belief systems. Some of them still bear some relevance, but what was relevant has been distorted in a lot of cases. So we have to bring it back to reality by personal observation. All right. One of these observational points is obviously data. Isn't it interesting that you look 2006, 70 days of no sunspots? Then it rises 152, 268, 60, 50, and drops back again. But for a few years. All right. Interesting, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Then we have another rise. 32, 104, 2, 2, 2 numbers, you know, big numbers. Similar to this, but it's actually a little bit bigger. And again, right now, we've actually got no days without sunspots. We have massive solar activity that's been going on since 2022, 23, 24, 25, 26. Massive amounts of mass coronal ejections, huge sunspots. We are being bathed in solar radiation, all sorts of shit. We've got astronomical features such as comets, which we've discussed many a times, coming through, and a new one coming through yet again for those of you who keep watching these things. We are running out of time, so I'm not going to get into it too deeply. But fundamentally, as above, so below. This shit is fucking with things. Now, what's really important is the historical data of Saturn, Neptune conjunctions in history, particularly looking at, say, Russia. The collapse of the Berlin Wall, 1989. The death of Stalin, 1953. Revolution in Russia, which in 1917, which unfortunately led to communism, but was meant as a revolution against the system at the time, which was monarchy through the Tsars. And it didn't work out very well for them. They revolted from one system, and another system encapsulated and brought forth communism. But that communism, again, people rose up and fought that, the death of Stalin. The system, like everybody must have wished for it so much that it fucking happened. The collapse of the Berlin Wall. Again, you know, these big points, these are historical data points that can align with planetary shit, as above, so below. We are now in a similar position. The question is, are we going to do what they did in 1917, and whilst trying to eject one corrupt system, install a worse one? That's where we need to be careful. You know, you bring the Berlin Wall. We tore the wall down just to keep people happy, but it goes back up again. Duff McKagan off his album, I Believe in Me. Very interesting album. But those lines stuck in my head really well, from the song Fucked Up Beyond Belief, might I add, and yeah, I couldn't agree more. The world is fucked up beyond belief. It really is. But there's so many things we can observe. Nostradamus was, he was just a bloke. Well, he was an astrologer. He was watching these things. He could read these tea leaves. He knew what was going on. The information is here for us to see, ladies and gentlemen. We can read the tea leaves ourselves. We can see what's going on because those who are controlling you and controlling the system are doing the same fucking thing. They know what's going on. They know what's happening. They know they are going to lose. We need to be a little bit more aware of what the fuck is going on and don't play into the game. Don't buy the carrot on the stick. Don't just think, hey, because they arrested Prince Andrew, that it's going to fucking stick. Don't think that they won't drag it out for years on end. It's going to be painful. It's going to be slow. It's going to be horrible, but it only gets better if people keep pushing, if you keep learning, if you keep working. Sips. I believe my time here today is done. I was going to do some other shit, but I'm not going to deal with it now. It's 3 hours, which is an hour longer than I expected. No guests turned up. That's okay. Any of you that I reached out to, Skull, you may wish to come join me on Sunday or something. Contact me, because I ain't doing shit unless you contact me. It's up to you, the people. Do something. Help me out. Work with me. I'm only willing to do so much because while we're being bathed in solar radiation, alignments like these things happen. It hits me. I've always sensed and noticed these things, and it can be a challenge. I have my own shit to work through. I need help. You need help. Why don't we help each other? So, on that note, sips, ladies and gentlemen, sips, freedom fighters, and especially a big sips to the freedom lovers, because it's only with the power of love are we going to actually get through this shit. Go and chuck on your Back to the Future and hear that. And the power of love, sips. I think it's together. Perhaps we can love this world into a better existence, and we can love evil to death. See you next time.